these links, these connections between our families, our kids, and our jobs. Now what we are doing is connecting our tax dollars, our increment dollars, to real projects with real opportunities. And it couldn't happen without the cooperation of the unions. So for that, I thank you.
By the way, you see council members and city employees in an annual education campaign wearing some form of denim as a visible means of protest against misconceptions that surround sexual assault. District 8 Councilmember Bernard Parks asked the Community Redevelopment Agency's Chief Executive Officer, Cecilia Estolano, to explain some of the guidelines of the labor agreement and how they'll work.
For the public, because I think people in this room have an understanding of it, but for the general public, what I'd like you to kind of go over is the job, the coordinator position. How is that going to function? Because that's the key as to how local people are going to get hired. I think the public needs to know how that's going to work, so there's a clear understanding that this is a viable program and that they have an opportunity to have a person coordinating this at a local level.
Thank you, Councilmember Parks. The broad outlines of the policy is that whenever CRA puts in $1 million or more in subsidy into a project, that 30% of the construction work hours must go to local people. Local people.
Yeah, explain local people.
Local people would be within 3-mile radius of a CRA project area, or also within high unemployment zip codes in the city of Los Angeles. So that would be zip codes that have an unemployment rate higher than 7%. And we have provided a map showing exactly where that is. So it's really going to be covering low-income areas that have barriers to employment. 10% of all work hours must go to local low-income people. And these are the folks who have barriers to employment, like one of the speakers, people who may have had a run-in with the criminal justice system, maybe single parents, may not have a high school diploma. They have a variety of barriers to employment who might not otherwise have access to union apprenticeship programs.
Speaking of relationships with building trades and the Community Redevelopment Agency, Inspector of Public Works John Reamer talks about the commitment to make this program work citywide.
Does work. Currently in the Department of Public Works, we have 7 active project labor agreements. And what that means is that we entered into an agreement with the building trades and the contractors to ensure that we have a level playing field. Every contractor that bids on our work, and the same will happen with CRA, will bid on a level playing field. And that's what the building trades have always asked for. They haven't asked to be treated any differently than anyone else. They just want to be able to come in and bid on a level playing field. In the month of September of 2007, we had 194,000 hours that were worked by men and women who live in the city of Los Angeles. As of March of this year, that number increased just with 7 project labor agreements from 194,000 hours to 384,000 hours. So this is not something that might work. This is not something that can work. This will work. And it's going to work with the partnership, with all of you, with the men and women that are behind us. There is a commitment here citywide to make this happen, as it has been alluded to, not just with the CRA, but we are in negotiations on 2 other project labor agreements because we believe that this is just good business. It makes sense.
Madam Clerk, if you please open the roll on the vote before us. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
That passes unanimously.
And joining us now by phone is Public Works Director of the Bureau of Contract Administration, John Reamer. Mr. Reamer, welcome to Council Week in Review.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate the welcome.
Before we talk about the project labor agreement, explain for our viewers, if you would, what the Bureau of Contract Administration does and what are the programs it oversees.
Fantastic. Well, actually, the title that I hold is that of Inspector of Public Works. And the Bureau of Contract Administration, we're one of 5 operating bureaus in the Department of Public Works, and we oversee contracts, both construction and some personal services contracts that are awarded through the Board of Public Works. So for construction, all work that's done in the public right-of-way by private contractors, we have men and women that serve as the construction managers, if you will. They inspect the work to make sure that it's done according to the plans and the specifications. They issue payments to the contractors, and then they officially close out the project through the Board of Public Works.
Now, the project labor agreement that we invited you on to talk about, CRA, I know, is involved. We know there may be some other participants. What role will they be playing in this project?
Well, with the project labor agreement, the Community Redevelopment Agency, they asked our Bureau to partner with them to monitor certain aspects of the project labor agreement. In essence, what it does is it's a partnering effort with the building trades, the developer, and the agency that's administering either the funds or the contract to create an environment where A, you have a level playing field, B, you're able to deliver projects on time and on budget, and C, there's a component in there that we're quite interested and excited about, which is to allow for local hire. Those men and women who live in the city of Los Angeles, specifically in certain zip code areas that have been identified as disadvantaged from the standpoint of there's a high unemployment rate, or there are other criteria that we are looking at from the standpoint of being a disadvantaged person. Either you are a homeless individual, or you're unemployed, or you've had a negative impact with the legal system. This enables us to interject you, if you will, or provide you an avenue into a career path with the building trades and construction.
Well, how is this going to work? Who's going to be eligible for these jobs? And especially tell us about the training and apprentice component of the agreement that you were referring to.
We're working with community-based organizations. We're working with faith-based organizations. The Community Development Department has been partnering with us also. And men and women in the city of Los Angeles, those who are looking for something different, something new, are all welcome to come and participate in this effort. You know, when you have construction that's funded with public monies, the state of California has a few laws that we have to adhere to. One is that the contractor must pay what's called a prevailing wage rate. And that means that whether it's a union contractor or a non-union contractor, a certain rate must be paid. And this is an attempt to, if you will, once again, level the playing field. Another requirement is also for there to be, of all the hours worked on the project, 20% of those hours must go to apprentice labor. Those men and women who, they're not the expert, if you will, the journey level worker, but they're just starting. They're learning about the trade, the craft, be it a laborer, electrician, or a plumber, or an operating engineer. And so we are specifically targeting those men and women to come into the trades. As with most industries, the baby boomers are starting to retire. Construction is one of them, and so there is a huge demand right now to bring in new workers who can not only do this work, but want to do this work. The challenge that we found is that because the school systems do not have in place things that were there when I was coming through, by the time I was in the 8th grade, I had already taken a wood shop class and a metal shop class, home economics. So I had, if you will, an introduction into the crafts. That doesn't unfortunately exist today in our school system. So we're working with community organizations to access what's called apprenticeship prep programs, where young men and women are able to go through an 8 to a 10-week course to give them an introduction into the trades, and from there we bridge them into the building trade apprenticeship program. These apprenticeship programs are approved by the state of California, so they've already demonstrated a career path and different stages that you go through to elevate or promote, if you will, from level 1 to level 5 before you turn out or promote as a journey level worker.
So what you're talking about is bringing up people who perhaps are undereducated, certainly don't have the skills, and also giving them the expertise in that particular job area, as well as teaching them what it's like to have a job.
Most certainly. This is going to afford many people. And again, the goal that we have, because there are those who would think, well, you're just limited to those who live in the city of LA. Well, quite frankly, there is a huge amount of construction that's taking place right now in many of the departments. So the particular policy that was passed the other day is with the Community Redevelopment Agency, the Department of Public Works. We also have project labor agreements. There are a few at the Harbor, and there's one at the Los Angeles World Airports. So this is something that's throughout the region, and we believe, A, it's going to help ensure an opportunity for those men and women to come into this construction profession.
I'm sure there may be somebody watching who's saying, wait a minute, you're going to build the airport with apprentice labor? Is that safe?
Yeah, really. No, in our project labor agreement, there's one thing that we, and I'm one who has made sure that this is something that we hold to, is we are not going to lower our standards. That's one of the reasons why the apprenticeship prep programs have become so important. We just don't have the luxury, especially in construction, because it can be, if it's not done properly, it can be unsafe. And I'm not saying that construction is unsafe, but if you don't know what you're doing and if you have not been trained properly, you can find yourself in an unsafe environment. So no, this is not going to be a case where we build the airport or we build a harbor or a good portion of public works projects with inexperienced workers, but that's the reason why we like the concept of being able to utilize the apprenticeship program, because we're able to train men and women. They'll start at a certain level and they'll promote through. Keep in mind, this is just 20% of all the labor, so 80%, these are journey level workers. These are seasoned men and women who are very experienced. They're trained. They've been doing this for a long time. That's why we're happy about the concept of not just on time and on budget, but quality construction, so that the men and women who are paying taxes in the city of LA, they're getting the quality construction that they deserve.
How many jobs do you think will actually be created in the Los Angeles area by this program? And you're talking about Los Angeles, not Orange or Palmdale or Lancaster, correct?
Right. Right now, this is in the city of Los Angeles, and how many jobs? Right. It's hard to say right now, and the reason I say that is because we're just getting started. The CRA policy that was approved. It's partnering with the private development industry, and I can't say right now how many projects we'll be able to utilize with that. With the Department of Public Works, we're also drafting a department-wide project labor agreement where, well, I'll say right now we have 7 project labor agreements. And of the 7 project labor agreements, I'm looking at a report that I have here, we have, there you go, I found it. Of those 7, 1,400 individuals that live in the city of Los Angeles since these projects started, and that's roughly June of 2005, have had an opportunity to work. And I like to coin the phrase, an hour is an opportunity. Because when we refer to jobs in construction, sometimes people look at it from the standpoint of 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 4.3 weeks a month for your 12 months to get a year for 30 years. Construction doesn't work like that. Construction, A, can be cyclical in that during your winter months, the weather is challenging. It may slow down a little bit, and in your summer months, it picks up. So construction measures your time based on hours, not necessarily based on the days, the weeks, and the months. So any hour that we provide someone is an opportunity for them to do 2 things: enhance their skills, but also make an impression on that contractor, and then they're able to work elsewhere. So we recognize that we're not going to be able to keep all of these men and women on City of Los Angeles projects. But what the City of Los Angeles is doing is we're taking the lead in preparing these men and women to not only work here, but then to branch out. And once you become a journey level worker, you can take that journey level card and you can go anywhere in the United States and you can show that you are a seasoned professional in construction and obtain a job.
When will we be seeing the apprentice training begin and the union jobs actually being filled?
It's happening now. The numbers that I alluded to in my testimony were numbers that are reflective of this effort on the part of the Department of Public Works. So when I made the statement that for the first quarter, we're in the process of producing our third quarter report for this fiscal year 07-08, which began July 1st. At the end of the first quarter, which was roughly September, the apprentice hours for those who live in the city of LA totaled 49,000 hours, plus or minus a few. At the end of the third quarter, we were up to 110,000 hours. Now, I'm really pleased about that, because what that tells me is that the partnership is working. And not just the partnership with the building trades, but the partnership with the community-based organizations, the faith-based organizations. It is working, it can work, and it's going to do a fantastic job. The mayor right now and the entire city family is working to deal with this issue of gangs and creating alternatives and providing hope to those who would see themselves as being in hopeless situations. This is a key component in that, in my mind. I don't want to speak for the mayor, but in my mind it is, because it provides alternatives. Someone who doesn't feel that they have anything to do or any place to go, we're telling them, you come to the building trades. We have a home for you. If you want to work and you want to learn, we can use you. And our numbers are testament to that.
Well, I think you've gotten the word out. John Reamer with Public Works, thank you for joining us here on Council Week in Review.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Again, the vote to go forward with the project labor agreement was unanimous. LA City View is the government access cable channel for the City of Los Angeles, featuring live coverage of city council meetings and programming about city department services and events. Now, if you have suggestions or comments about any of the programs you see here on Channel 35 or would like to receive a free viewer guide, call our viewer hotline at 213-473-3978. And we invite you to address the Los Angeles City Council on any item on the council agenda, as well as during public comment. You may come downtown to City Hall or go to the Van Nuys City Hall and participate via video teleconferencing. And remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Council Week in Review can be seen Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m., and on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending April 25th, 2008. On behalf of Roberto Campos and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
My name is Enrique Hurtado, Executive Director for the Aztec Fire Fuels Crew. As a director and a trainer for the Aztec Fire Fuels Crew, we go out and recruit young men and women from throughout the city and prepare them to become wildland firefighters. These young men and women need an opportunity and somebody to give them a chance to get a meaningful career, and with us they come and we get them prepared mentally, physically, to become wildland firefighters, and we partner with the United States Forest Service for that. When these individuals get certified as wildland firefighters, they get deployed throughout the United States to fight wildland fires. My experience as a firefighter, when I started fighting fire, I went on and became the crew leader and came back to the city and started recruiting. I wanted to teach what I have learned in the forest. And throughout 10 years, I've been recruiting individuals, men and women, to become wildland firefighters. And it's so rewarding when these kids go out there and become wildland firefighters, and just watching them do the job out there in the forest, and they change their mentality. Out here in the city is a little bit different. Over there, they're disciplined and structured, professional firefighters. I grew up in Los Angeles, and I think economics plays a big part, with all the violence and kids, just following their own footsteps. I want to give back to the community and give an opportunity to everyone that wants a chance and become somebody, a hero, as a firefighter. I want to prepare them to be successful in life. Enrique Hurtado, y soy una cara de Los Ángeles.
Hey, buddy, what's shaking? We're not prepared for an earthquake. I love the rain. We're not prepared for a flood.
Sure, in the movies, this is all pretend, but in real life, you gotta be prepared for any type of an emergency. You can't predict, but you can prepare.
Yeah.
How'd you know? The ball called.
Be prepared at LAFD.org.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Welcome to Los Angeles City Hall, Van Nuys. Today is May 2nd, 2008. Council meets on 3 times a week, on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays. All meetings are open to the public. We have a lot of people here in attendance today. We thank you for attending. For those who cannot make it to the City Hall meetings or the City Hall in Van Nuys, meetings are televised via Channel 35 and can be viewed by visiting our website. Madam Clerk, will you please call to order?
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 8 members present.
Okay, we do not have a quorum. We'll begin then with public presentations. Ms. Gruel.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to call forward all of the individuals from our mural painting or graffiti prevention program. All the kids, come on up. Let's give a round of applause as they are coming up. You guys can stand on both sides here, some over here. Okay, come on up. Then you can turn this way, so you guys will be on TV there. Today I am proud to honor winners of our Council District 2 mural painting and graffiti prevention program. Standing with me today are our outstanding students: Fernando Hernandez, Gaigi Tonoyan, Wanu Sonurian, Guillermo Hernandez, Miriam Zadikian, Choi Ji Hun, they're testing me today on these names, Thera Kesjamaras, sorry if I mispronounce, Ludian Vasquez, and Jennifer Arredondo. I'd also like to thank our mentors who are here, who, with this project, would not have been made possible without those wonderful mentors. The mentors and public safety leaders with me are Dove Getzwig, Carol Sawamara, Susan Shan, Tanya Crawford, Eric Diaz, and Roger Avila. They played a very important role in helping and mentoring these students. Recently, I spearheaded a public safety service program, Seeds of Peace, in which 300 students participated. The schools in my district that participated included Madison Middle School, Coldwater Canyon Elementary School, and Satakoy Elementary School. Seeds of Peace was a mural and poster competition that we initiated to promote graffiti abatement through positive participation in the arts and education. Participating students portrayed aspects of what they felt contribute to peace, both locally and nationally, by submitting a Seeds of Peace poster. We then chose our winning entries, which were then painted on murals throughout my district. I had the pleasure of meeting with many of these students who participate in the program, and they all expressed their valuable lessons that they learned in putting these posters together for the Seeds of Peace. The students shared with me that graffiti destroys and damages neighborhoods, and that they learn to take pride in their community, where they live, study, and play. I couldn't agree more with their assessment of what the damage of graffiti does to our neighborhoods. This has provided a great opportunity for our students to invest in their neighborhood, and each time they go by that mural, I know they will take personal satisfaction in that work. And I hope that they will continue to invest in their communities and their neighborhoods. I'd like to invite Ludin Vasquez from Coldwater Elementary School, Gagik Tonoyan from Satakoy Elementary School to tell us what they learned from this experience. And then I'm going to ask Dove Gertzwig to speak about his arts and education programs. But colleagues, most importantly, this is about our kids taking control of their communities and their neighborhoods and saying they can do something to stop graffiti in their neighborhoods, and they can do something to stop the violence in their neighborhoods. And that's, I think, something that makes these kids particularly unusual, and these mentors, and wanted to have them here today to say thank you for their leadership. And so I'd like to now ask our 2 students if they would come up briefly and say a few words. Come on up.
Hi, thank you all for coming. I'm very happy that the people who work for the project Seeds of Peace invited us here for our drawings. It was an interesting project because I have never drawn or painted on a wall before. It was a great experience. I would like to thank the principal, Mr. Avila, for allowing us to paint the mural on the walls of Satakoy. Satakoy is one of the best schools I have ever been to. This is my second time I entered an art contest. My first time I entered contest was in Indianapolis, Indiana. I didn't understand much English because I was new to this country. I won the contest by an accident. I didn't know it was a contest, but I painted a picture and my art teacher liked it and invited me to Holiday Park's Nature Center. My family and I had a great time. Thank you all for listening, and I like that you admired my drawing. I'd like to especially thank Councilwoman Wendy Gruhl. Thank you.
Here, let me do this. See if I can get this out here. Hang on.
Hi, I'm Leon Vasquez, and I would like to say that I learned from peace should be in the whole world, not just on the wall. And if we all come together, we can make our community a better place.
Thank you very much. Beth, that's, these are our future leaders here. And now, Dove, you want to come say a few words? Dove and I met painting a wall out in my neighborhood in an alleyway a few years ago. 2002. So he's been working on us for a long time. Dove.
Thank you. That was the first program of the Seeds of Peace, and we incorporated Kittredge Elementary School at that time, and the children were allowed to come up with their own ideas, and we turned a little corner that was a problem into a really cheerful and bright parking lot that is a nice place to park your car. And this latest project incorporated these children from these three schools. 300 children got to participate. And I started this project back in 1992, and I went to the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where we did some murals to put out the idea of global stewardship. And then when I returned here to North Hollywood, there was a large wall that was getting a constant barrage of graffiti, so I got permission and painted the Earth Day mural on Sherman Way, and have kept that going since 1992, and started the Earth Harmony Foundation, which is designed to do programs like this, and in association with Wendy and the City Council. And I'd like to acknowledge the wonderful teachers and the assistant principals who participated and gave their children an incredible experience, as well as Wendy's office, Joaquin Macias, who was a very inspiring leader in this program. He got the kids to get enthusiastic and energized, as well as Yvette Garrigy, who tirelessly pulled all the pieces together through the several months that we've been working on this. And shortly they'll all be done, and you'll have a chance to visit them. And finally, it's my hope that the many seeds of peace that have been planted in this project may grow in many directions, opening our eyes to new solutions to keep our children involved in beautifying and bettering our community rather than defacing it. And if there's not enough time in the school for arts, maybe an after-school program could be initiated. Hopefully the lessons learned will remain for years to come, and new projects can be embraced through the schools that will bring greater harmony as well as environmental caregiving to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dove. And I also want to acknowledge John McCrae, who is here. All of these mentors and principals and kids have been out there painting. Our police officers, we were there one day painting with the kids. This is, I think, an example of how we can improve our neighborhoods. And as this young man said about learning about peace and how important that is, whether it is here locally or internationally. And so with that, I do have proclamations for each of you, but I hope, and I don't know if the camera can even get close, but these are amazing drawings that these young people have done, and talking about Seeds of Peace, and tilt them a little bit this way, I think is what, so everybody can see. But thank you very much. Let's give a great round of Mr. LaBonge. Should you?
This, we all try to do that in one way or another. This is wonderful to include the students, the principal, which is the engine behind a lot of good things in a community, at a school, the teachers, the staff, and the senior lead officer, everybody in the community. So congratulations to the students. It's wonderful about your art. We're talking about murals in our art committee right now. Let's give them all another big hand.
Thank you, Mr. Labange, and to our students, congratulations. We're very proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms.
Thank you very much. And kids, you can, watch us on Channel 35 tonight, be able to see you on camera. But it is about, I do want to, you mentioned the principals, Mr. Labange, and just to add to that, you know a school that's a good school because it's got a great principal who engages everyone, and that makes a big difference, we know. So thank you, students. I have one more presentation, so I'll come take a picture with you in a minute, but let's give them all a great round of applause again for their leadership. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think you guys are going to go over there. I'll be right there to take a picture. And my next presentation, Mr. Smith, now that I took this out of here, is for the Campbell Hall varsity basketball team. I think is here. Come on up, guys. I knew they were the tall ones in the back. Let's give them yes. Come on up,
Come on, guys.
Okay, how tall are you?
Wow, he
6'6"?
play basketball in the Lakers.
How tall are you then?
6'6".
6'6". No.
4'5".
Who's taller?
4'5".
He's 6'7".
He's 6'8". He was being shy. He didn't want to be the tall one. Oh, take off your name. Yeah, so you guys can take off your name tags. They're not in the photo. Take them off. We won't take them off. Thank you, Mr. President. And I am so lucky to represent Campbell Hall School in my district. In fact, I live a block away from Campbell Hall. And here, I don't necessarily hear you guys cheering over there because you're in the court, but I do hear their enthusiasm at Campbell Hall. And Campbell Hall basketball recently won the state championship. Back-to-back victory. They won last year. They had a 31-5 record. They have won a state championship 3 out of the last 4 years, more state titles in the San Fernando Valley than any school. Yeah. The leading publication, Student Sports Magazine, named Campbell Hall 39th out of 50 top athletic high schools in the country. 3 students from the graduating class are gone on to continue to play basketball in college. Drew Holiday is going to, yes, UCLA for our USC people here. And CSUN, San Francisco State, we're so happy. They recipient of the Drew with a J, Drew, was the recipient of the Gatorade Boys Basketball Player of the Year. That award is given to a student who excels on and off the court. He has nearly a 4.0 GPA, volunteers at Campbell Hall assisting with the tennis team and other various clubs, and is a candidate for the Gatorade National Athlete of the Year, and is going to ESPN's ESPY Awards for the presentation. These are a group of young men who have demonstrated their not only athletic skill, but I think their commitment to their community and to their school. And I wanted to have this opportunity to acknowledge all of them for their leadership and their ability to prove that in the San Fernando Valley, and we wanted to do it here in the San Fernando Valley to show that we have great talent here in the San Fernando Valley. And so it is my pleasure to be able to present to you the state champions, Campbell Hall, for basketball here in the city of Los Angeles. Let's give them a great round of applause for that. Now, I'd like to ask, and they didn't say which coach or maybe one of the players, if they could say a few words.
Oh, absolutely. Drew.
Drew, come on. This is our Gatorade MVP of the Year, Player of the Year.
I really don't know what to say. This is really unexpected, but I just want to say we had a great season. I've had a great 4 years, and just thank the coaching staff and all my players for just a great year, and that's about it.
Go Bruins! You're supposed to say go Bruins.
Oh, and go Bruins! We're going back to the Final Four, and I want to just thank the mayor for having us here and having all you guys invite us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Like Drew, I didn't necessarily know that I had to speak today, so I'll speak from the heart, and first and then Councilwoman Wendy Gruhl for bringing us up here. It's an honor for us to stand here and represent the San Fernando Valley. It's an honor for us to stand here and represent Campbell Hall and everything that it stands for. Within this group of young men, we have an amazing amount of individual accomplishments, but the strength of this team lies in its unity. The things that we've accomplished in the last 4 years, we've lost 17 games out of 150. We have yet to lose in the San Fernando Valley in the last 5 years. And we've had some unbelievable successes playing on national TV twice, ESPN and the Fox network. But it's the young men that are in front of us right now that define what our program is. They give back to their communities in more ways than just the basketball floor. We have class presidents here. We have managers of teams. We have club advisors. We have all sorts of different athletes, student athletes that give back in a variety of ways. So again, thank you for this honor. We're humbled by this, and thank you to Councilwoman Wendy Gruhl for inviting us here. Thank you.
Well, it was my pleasure to bring them here. It's a great school. I was there just a week or so ago with a parent of one of the students, Magic Johnson. So, I don't know, do you get him to come out and coach you all at all? But he's worked out with you. But they had an event that was sponsoring or raising money to sponsor students to go to Campbell Hall. It's one in which the parents and the community support it, and we're so proud of their basketball team and look forward to next year coming back here again with you having the state champions here in the state of California and representing the San Fernando Valley. Thank you so much, and congratulations to Campbell Hall basketball team.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gruhl, and all of you from Campbell Hall. We're very proud of you. Congratulations.
So we can take a picture.
Next presentation, Mr. Weezar.
Canyon and Ventura Freeway. Thank you very much.
If I could invite Councilmember Tony Cardenas and Councilmember Ed Reyes, please. Is Alarcon here? We're here today to celebrate with all of the city of Los Angeles a fiesta known as Cinco de Mayo. Here in the city of Los Angeles, we are blessed to have great diversity where we celebrate cultures throughout the world. And today, throughout the city of Los Angeles, we have young children learning about Mexico, its heritage, and traditions. But I wanted to give a little brief history lesson before we begin. You see, many people think that Cinco de Mayo is actually the Independence Day for Mexico. It is not. It is actually September 16th when Mexico gained its independence from Spain. But we celebrate Cinco de Mayo in Mexico because it's a way of celebrating our heritage and the long history we have in overcoming obstacles and overcoming greater forces than us. Cinco de Mayo actually started because of a battle that happened in Puebla, a part of Mexico, when the French occupying forces of Maximilian, the Emperor of Mexico on the throne at the time, fought with peasants in the area of Puebla of Mexico. They won that battle. However, they went on to be ruled by the French for about another year until eventually they were expelled in 1867. So we're very proud to celebrate Cinco de Mayo here in the city of Los Angeles, throughout the United States, and in Mexico. And we're also equally proud to celebrate the cultures of many, many other heritages that live here in the city of LA. To begin today's festivities, we have with us a young artist. She sings beautifully. We heard her sing a few weeks ago, and we wanted her to come here share this day with us. It's Belinda Linda, and she will sing Como Mexico no hay dos, like Mexico there is no other.
Yes, sir. Y bueno, muy buenas
Muy buenos días a todos. Voy a cantarles una canción. Espero que sea de todo su agrado. Se la vamos a interpretar con mucho corazón. Y vámonos. Dice así, con muchísimo cariño para todos ustedes. ¡Uy! Esas palmas. Ánimo, pues. Tengo el alma de bohemio y mexicano, vagabundo y trovador. Para ustedes mi amistad traigo en la mano, soy así de corazón. Vagabundas para el mundo mis canciones van rodando como yo, y es mi orgullo que me nombre mexicana. Como México no hay dos, no hay dos en el mundo entero. Ni hay sol que brille mejor. Si aquí la Virgen María dijo que aquí estaría mucho mejor. Mejor que con Dios, dijo que estaría, y no lo diría, no más por hablar. Si aquí, en el extranjero, cuanto más quiero yo a mi nación. Y feliz día del 5 de mayo, y que viva México, y que viva Los Ángeles también, sí señor.
¡Viva Los Ángeles!
De la unión es lo mejor, sus naranjas y sus vinos hechos de uva, sus manzanas de color, vagabundas por el mundo mis canciones. Así fue nuestra nación, y es mi orgullo que me nombren mexicana. Como México no hay dos, no hay dos en el mundo entero. Ni hay sol que brille mejor. Si aquí la Virgen María dijo que aquí estaría mucho mejor. Mejor que con Dios, dijo que estaría, y no lo diría, no más por hablar. Si aquí, en el extranjero, cuanto más quiero yo a mi nación. Como México no hay dos. Muchísimas gracias. Quiero agradecerle a Esmeralda por haberme dado la invitación y poder compartir esos momentos con todos ustedes. Muchísimas gracias. También quiero aprovechar este momento para invitarles a mi próximo concierto, que se va a llevar a cabo en el Ford Amphitheater. Va a ser un concierto de Agustín Lara. Más al ratito voy a pasarles por ahí unos flyers y el número para que, si gustan acompañarme y apoyarme, sería muy agradecida. Muchísimas gracias y sígansela pasando muy, muy bonito, con sus permisos. Gracias.
Gracias, Belinda. Thank you very much, Belinda. Beautiful, beautiful. And she said that she's going to pass around some flyers for her next concert, which will be at the Ford Amphitheater. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have Council Member Reyes from the 1st Council District. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Wisar. It's an honor for me to be here. The Consul General's office actually resides in District 1, so it's good to have this moment to share this great celebration with all my colleagues. You know, the Battle of Puebla to me is symbolic. We now have 5 Latinos now in this council. So the expectations are that we are in a position to address many of the needs of our great city for all Americans, for all ethnicities. As long as we understand that a good number of our immigrants today are suffering. They are living in fear with all the ugliness that's come about by the raids. We now more than ever need to stand up and truly talk about what that battle meant symbolically. It meant that we deserve justice. It meant that we should be treating each other as human beings. It means that we should be fighting for housing, for jobs, the elimination of our gangs. These are all affecting the whole city. But when more than 65-70% of the city speaks Spanish, when you have a city that spoke Spanish 300 years before it began English, this day means a lot to not only the Mexicanos, but all Latinos and all ethnicities in this great city. So thank you for having this, Councilman Huizar. I don't like to pour on rain on a parade, but I think the realities are that we must express these issues and thank everyone for being able to work together and engage the different, the unique, the diversity of this great city. Feliz Cinco de Mayo.
Feliz Cinco de Mayo. Councilmember Ed Reyes' parents are from El DF, the district,
in Guanajuato.
And Guanajuato. And now we have Councilmember Cárdenas, whose parents come from Jalisco, right, where mariachi started, and it spread throughout the whole world. Councilmember Cárdenas.
Thank you very much. Cinco de Mayo represents a battle where the Mexican army won a battle over the French, and it also was the victory that Mexico demonstrated to the world that Mexico and all of Latin America were willing to defend themselves of any foreign intervention. Sounds a lot like our country. Sounds a lot like the United States of America. And I really appreciate what Ed Reyes said, because I think what Cinco de Mayo gives us an opportunity to do is to celebrate that victory in Mexico, our neighbors, and also to celebrate the freedom that we enjoy in this country and that many, many people come to this country to enjoy and appreciate, and something that they bring with them and something that they adopt here. My parents adopted this country as their country, and they had 11 kids right here in Pacoima, and because in their country, they got taken out of school at the first and second grade because times were very, very tough. They went ahead and came to this country, worked really hard to make sure that their children had opportunities that they didn't have. So what I'd like to challenge everybody to do, whether you think Cinco de Mayo is a time to have a cerveza or not, if you're having a beer or not, try to look to somebody to your left or right sometime during this weekend and engage in a conversation with somebody who comes from another country, be it Mexico or wherever else, and ask them why they like this country so much, and I can swear to you they'll say they do. And at the same time, ask them what they aspire for themselves, and ask them whether or not they appreciate where they've been, where they come from in this country as well. So to me, Cinco de Mayo is an opportunity for our country, the United States of America, to learn a lot about ourselves, because in this country we have many, many people who come from all over the world. They love this place. People from Mexico are here to work hard. People from Mexico are here to live the American dream, and these are dreams that were seeds in their minds and their hearts in the countries that they came from. And I think Cinco de Mayo, once again, is a great opportunity. If you want to have a beer, go ahead, but take the opportunity to think and grow and to understand Mexico and understand how much alike we are with them here in the United States of America. Que viva Mexico, que viva los Estados Unidos, long live Mexico, long live the United States of America.
Thank you. And long live the city of Los Angeles. And now we have Councilmember Alarcón, whose parents come from
El Paso.
El Paso, Texas. All right.
The Mexican-American city of El Paso, Texas. It is a pleasure to join in this celebration. But I have to tell you that when I grew up in the San Fernando Valley as a little boy, the Cinco de Mayo might mean an extra umbrella in your Coca-Cola at the restaurant you go to. It didn't play a significant role in our lives when I was a young man. That might tell you how old I am, but it also tells you that with the transition of our community to have so many people from Mexico reside in our community, it has really reflected in the Cinco de Mayo that transition. But I have to tell you that whether we are talking about the struggle for independence of Mexico from the French, or whether we're talking about the Armenian genocide, the Holocaust of Jews, the Burma the situation in Burma, we are talking about a struggle for independence that when you can capture it in one's own ethnicity, it contributes a great passion to this nation. And if we can respect, as Mexican Americans, the other cultures for the struggles that their families went through to find the independence from their captors wherever they may have come from, to come to this great country and make a nation of people who fought that struggle, then we will truly embrace what the Cinco de Mayo is all about. So yes, we celebrate. Yes, we enjoy the time. We appreciate the culture and the colorful history that we have. But more importantly, we all stand together more than ever, as we need to in this nation, most importantly, to fight against those who would take away our independence. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alarcon. And I'd like to take this opportunity, so if people want to continue celebrating Cinco de Mayo, there is an event at El Pueblo, the birthplace of the city of Los Angeles, on Olvera Street, May 3rd and 4th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We are joined here today by the Assistant General Manager of El Pueblo, Diana Martinez-Lilly, and also by the Public Relations Officer, John Koponsky. Thank you for being with us here today. And ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to take this opportunity, along with my colleagues on the City Council, to present to the Council General of Mexico. We have a representative here today, Vanessa Calva Ruiz, a resolution from the City of Los Angeles celebrating the year 2008 Cinco de Mayo in Los Angeles. Our futures and our pasts are intertwined. We must continue to work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. On behalf of Consul General Juan Marcos Gutierrez, we kindly accept this gift from the City of Los Angeles. And if I may now, and with your permission, I would just to briefly say some words in Spanish about this day to us. Me parece que ya han expresado la importancia del 5 de mayo en la historia de México.
De Ciudad de México.
Lo que también han rescatado los concejales Alarcón, Cárdenas, Reyes y Huizar, por supuesto, es lo que compartimos como país y lo que compartimos como vecinos. Y esos son, y momentos como estos, lo más importante que podemos hacer, el encontrar nuestras similitudes, nuestra lucha por la independencia y la importancia para nosotros que es estar en una ciudad como Los Ángeles, llena de cultura y que nos permitan sumarnos a las actividades de celebración que tienen el día de hoy. And just to say this in English, we are honored to be in the city of Los Angeles in which so many cultures are intertwined and in which we are able to share this celebration that is not only from our country, but that it is shared commonly with so many others and continues to be. And it shows that there are so many similarities between our communities that we would like to continue to work on this, particularly in these times in which we have to present a front in support of so many needs that our community has here in the city. And we would like to appreciate and to thank again the opportunity that we have to join you here and to express these words of solidarity and friendship, and of course gratefulness of Council Member Huizar inviting us here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And with us today as well is Manolo Ceballos from MCG, who is putting on the event at El Pueblo. Thank you very much for continuing to provide that great event each and every year. So thank you very much. Que viva México, que viva Los Ángeles, y que viva los Estados Unidos. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huizar. Our next presentation is by Mr. Alarcon. Mr. Alarcon, are you ready for your next presentation? You are our last presentation. We'll go ahead and go through the agenda, and then we'll come back. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Huizar, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti, 10 members present, and a quorum, Madam President.
I know she's not here yet, though, right? No. Okay.
Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Weston, I didn't realize, we thought Ms. Hahn was making that next presentation. We were waiting for her. If we could just real quickly go through the agenda, and then we'll go to Mr. Weston.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Weston moves, Mr. Weiss seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Those will be approved.
Madam President, would you like to have public comments yet?
No, we'll go through the agenda, and then we will go finish presentations and then go to public comment.
First is request to continue item 23 to May 7th.
Without objection, that will be continued to May 7th.
Items 1 through 7 are items noticed for public hearing. Those are street lighting ordinances. Recommendation for council action is to close hearing and adopt the ordinances. And Madam President, number 2 has a card.
We will hold that item special to hear public comment. If not, colleagues, the remainder of those items will be held over. Next items.
Okay. Next are items 8 through 15, with the exception of item number 23. Those are items for which public hearings have been held. Items 16 through 20 are also street lighting ordinances.
Okay. Colleagues, any specials on those items? This is items, you said 8 through 15?
I'm sorry. It's 8 through 15 with the exception of 23.
14 for Mr. Alarcon.
14 for Mr. Alarcon. Okay. Any other specials, colleagues? 13 for?
And 14.
For Mr. Alarcon, okay.
No, for Mr. Weezar.
Weezar on.
Thank you.
Okay. 13 and 14. Any other specials, colleagues? If not, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on the remaining items, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. The next items?
Next are items number 16 through 29, and those are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. And Madam President, there are several items with cards. Those are 24, 25, 26, 27, 29, and there's a possible substitute motion on item number 22.
It's been distributed?
Distributed.
Thank you. So, colleagues, the remainder of the items where there's not cards, any specials? If not, Madam Clerk, if you could please open the roll on the remaining items, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next item?
Next is item number 30 on the continuation agenda, and that is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Yes, and I believe that that is an item which we are going to hear again today. We do have a tape, so we will go back to that item and call it special. Next item?
That brings council back to items called special.
Thank you. Colleagues, we are now going to go back to our presentation. Mr. Alarcon will be followed by Mr. Weston. Mr. Alarcon.
Thank you.
Not just, we got to do all.
Mr. Alarcon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's an organization in Lakeview Terrace that has been contributing to the community for about 15 years now, and I know that because it was right around the time I was elected to the City Council in 1993. But I have to be very honest with you. I opposed their existence in Lakeview Terrace in 1993 because I was concerned about what kinds of conditions that would be impacting on the Lakeview Terrace community. The Lakeview Terrace community was up in arms. They didn't want this organization to come in. A bunch of young people who have issues to contend with, from drugs to family problems to other issues, coming to our neighborhood. And the community complained and complained. And indeed, in the first year, there were problems. But working with the community, Phoenix House has become a tremendous asset to the Lakeview Terrace community, and more importantly, has contributed incredible lives where they were being destroyed by problems. And so it is my pleasure to recognize Phoenix House in the celebration of their 40th anniversary, not of being in Lakeview Terrace, but of their existence. They are prominent in other parts of the United States as well. And so we want to thank them for their special work in treating the various addictions that they treat, for their expanding the scope and the understanding in the areas of mental health, and for providing comprehensive long-term support to his clients. I have to tell you, I was at a graduation just about half a year ago, and the graduates were so excited. You know, we go to a lot of graduations as council members, high school graduations, even college graduations. Of course, those are incredible events and happy days. But I can't tell you that there is any more important graduation than the graduation of the young people that graduate from Phoenix House. Because they have made a commitment to change their lives. They have made a commitment to do the right thing. They have made a commitment to work with their families. They have made a commitment to contribute to society. And so we owe, as a group, as the City of Los Angeles, we owe Phoenix House a debt of gratitude for all the work that they do and continue to do. So we just wanted to stop the clock for this brief moment and say thank you to Phoenix House for doing the tremendous work that they do. In this case, in particular, in Lakeview Terrace, I know they're also in the Venice area, in Councilman Rosendal's district. Come on up. He might have a word or two, although he's not a man known for words.
And I know Mr. Reyes would also like to say something when you have before you make the final presentation.
But it is in Bill Rosendahl. We are recognizing the Phoenix House in Lakeview Terrace, but Bill has a special connection with the Phoenix House in Venice. But with that, I'd like to introduce the Executive Director, Winnie Wexler, to explain to us why it is so important to have Phoenix House.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
That's great.
Thank you so much for doing this. Well, thank you very much, Councilman Alarcon and Councilman Rosendahl. And thanks to all of you for taking a minute, because you're all very busy. You have a long agenda. And I appreciate your taking a minute to just think about the tens of thousands of kids in the state, thousands of them here in Los Angeles, who are in trouble and who may have started out life under unfortunate circumstances or may have been more fortunate, but for one reason or another made a bad decision. And by the time they're 14 or 15, are living lives of despair. And some may have started as early as 9 or 10. By the time they are in their teens, they are deeply troubled due to a whole range of complex set of problems. They don't know where to turn, and they're the kinds of kids that even if they did, probably wouldn't ask for help. Their parents feel helpless and don't know what to do either. And that's where Phoenix House comes in. For 40 years throughout the country, starting in New York in 1967, we've been offering help to those young and old, regardless of their socio or economic status or their ability to pay, to help them turn their lives around. We know that basically what these kids need is simply a place that's safe, a place that nurtures their native intelligence, that brings out their self-confidence, and that gives them a chance to understand themselves and understand their families, and for their families to understand them. So that's what we've been doing for 40 years, helping kids turn their lives around. We appreciate that their problems, that their drug use is simply a symptom of far deeper mental health, psychological, personal, behavioral, other problems. And those are what we treat, those underlying issues. And in so doing are also able to help them with their substance abuse problems. So thank you all for taking the time to recognize these kids. Behind me are two of the 110 to 120 kids that we serve every day at our facility in Lakeview Terrace. Jesse and Lander. Lander is going to just say a few words about his own experience at Phoenix House, but just one more point. I just want you to appreciate that every year we have to raise $1.5 million from private sources, be it foundations or individuals, or I'm happy to say the federal government. Representative Brad Sherman here in the Valley, as well as Lucille Roybal Allard and Jane Harmon and Grace Napolitano. Many of our members of the Los Angeles congressional delegation have together helped to fund some federal dollars to our program in Lakeview Terrace, and that's what enables us to keep going, as well as the private support. So anything you can do to help support our programs, we appreciate those throughout the city and throughout Southern California. Lander, do you want to just say one or two words?
Yay! Sure.
My name is Lander. The Phoenix House has helped me out a lot, with the relationship with my family. I started using drugs when I was 9 years old until right now I'm 15. and it has helped me out a lot. You know, I think the Phoenix House should keep on going. You know, because there's a lot of kids like me, you know, that need the help, and that's it.
Thank you.
And just to finish up, I want to acknowledge that we are here, of course, because of Councilman Alarcon, but also there are so many others in the community. As he rightfully mentioned, we are not always embraced by the communities in which we first are located, but over time, I think we earn their trust and respect. And it's because of the support of Los Angeles County, the County Department of Health, the County Department of Mental Health, Zev Yaroslavsky, we're a part of his district, and he's a big supporter of ours, as well as the City of Los Angeles, and certainly the council members present, as well as Mayor Villaraigosa, and LAPD. Chief Bratton is a big supporter, and of course, Officer Martinez here from the Foothill Division is a member of our Community Advisory Board. The Lakeview Terrace Homeowners Association, represented behind me here, are big supporters of ours, and LA County Office of Education, and of course the juvenile courts, probation, and the whole juvenile justice system. We are closely enmeshed with all of these partners, and it's only because of their mutual support that we're able to help kids like Lander and Jesse get a second chance. Thanks.
Mr. Alarcon, Mr. Reyes, I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Reyes.
Before Reyes, okay?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. We have a Phoenix House on Venice Beach. It's great. There are 50 adult males that are serviced out of that location. I toured it the other day, and the bottom line is to give options and alternatives and hope to people that have drug, alcohol issues, and other issues. Some of the men that are there come out of the criminal justice system, and this is part of the rehabilitation process. I sat in one of the group meetings and saw how they discuss with professionals their lives and their future. That location on Venice Boardwalk becomes a daily reminder to people as they walk up and down the boardwalk of a place where one can be healed and helped. And I just want to thank my colleagues for being so supportive of it, and for Mr. Alarcon for highlighting the one in the Valley for kids. But Phoenix House, as you heard the director say, has been going on for 40 years. And I want to thank my Jane Harmon, who represents Venice Beach, for her leadership, and Zev Yaroslavsky, who represents Venice Beach as well, for their leadership. These are solutions to problems that we need to have, and we need to have more of them. Thank you.
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Councilman Gould. It's always good to speak after Councilman Rosendahl. But I do want to thank him for his words. And Councilman Alarcon, I was in the horseshoe when this thing came about. And I was working on the land use issues for District 1. And colleagues, the epic battle that occurred in that time was amazing. What the youngsters did in demonstrating their level of sophistication and expressing the support they wanted. And then seeing how the local stakeholders really fought hard against this. And the courage that came about from the elected officials at all different levels was truly astounding. If that could be bottled, if we could duplicate that over and over again, it would be like creating a fire station house in the middle of a massive mountainous region that's burning. Because that's what's happening to our city. Many of our kids are dying. Many of our kids are suffering, and they have nowhere to go. And the water's right there to eliminate that ugly fire that's burning in our city, and we just can't find a way to tap into it when we really have the ability just by saying yes. And so, Phoenix, if there's a way to demonstrate how maybe property values didn't go down, if there's a way to demonstrate how maybe property values went up, there's a way to demonstrate how the local area improved. If there's a way to speak to real case examples, putting names with faces, and share them with our colleagues, perhaps, just maybe perhaps, the stakeholders like the neighborhood councils, homeowner associations, all the folks who would have a knee-jerk reaction to why they don't want this, just maybe we can get them to think twice. So thank you for your hard work. On behalf of all the youngsters in the city, thank you for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
I feel I have to explain a little bit further. The community never opposed Phoenix House providing services in Lakeview Terrace. What they specifically were opposing were certain lack of security measures that were incorporated into the site. The community wanted more security. They did not get it. In the first year, in fact, several of the residents did leave the premises without permission and did go into the homes of the Lakeview Terrace residents. Rather than come back hard as a council member, at that point I was a council member, and shut them down, we had them work with the community to upgrade the security measures, and it has been a love relationship ever since. So the community was never, I want to make it clear, they were not opposed to a drug treatment facility in their neighborhood. They didn't mind having the drug treatment facility. They just wanted to ensure that the safety of the residential community as well as the kids was as best as it could be. And that was finally accomplished about a year later. So again, Phoenix House is a tremendous asset to our community. I thank Bill Rosendahl and Ed Reyes for reminding me a little bit of it. It was a major battle. Even Roy Schneider came out and advocated on behalf of Phoenix House, rest his soul. But thank you so much, colleagues, for your time in recognizing, most importantly, these young people who are going to be positive contributors to our communities.
Thank you very much. Beautiful.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alarcon. I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Hahn for our next presentation, and I believe Mr. Weston's going to join the other. And colleagues, there's a little bit of a problem with some of your boxes and pushing the buttons as far as whether or not it registers on our computers. So wave your hands wildly if you need to get my attention, because not all of them are working properly.
That's not true. Anyway, good morning, Madam President and members. It's a great honor for me to be asked by the great councilperson from the 15th District to join her in this presentation. You know, there's a saying that goes something like, you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach an individual how to fish, and that individual can take care of themselves for the rest of their life. That's what Youth Build is all about. No kid wants to wake up and be a failure in life. No kid wants to wake up as he or she is a little kid and go to jail or prison or be a bad person to do bad things. The only thing that our children want are opportunities, just like other children throughout this great city. And what Youth Build does is provide them with real opportunities. It helps them maintain their education, and it teaches them invaluable skills in the construction trades so that they can go on and know how to fish themselves and know how to take care of themselves. And it's just my honor that when I was in the assembly, that I had an opportunity to pass legislation that funded a statewide Youth Build program. This program, I believe, originated from the great city of New York in or around the Harlem area, and it was very successful in rehabbing the old brownstones or whatever they call them. And so I passed this legislation because I thought it was the right thing to do. And then lo and behold, by one of the young men that's standing behind me, well, I just wanted to make him feel good by saying he was a young man, Jim Smith, who's the manager of this. He gave me an award from Youth Build. So Ms. Hahn asked me to kind of stand in with her. I truly appreciate it. You guys really need to recognize that the work that this organization does, they have saved thousands and thousands of lives, because this is a national program, not just an LA-based, California-based, a national program that has turned the lives around of so many individuals. It again shows, as I close, that all anybody needs is a real opportunity, and they can do whatever the heck they want to in their lives. And Youth Build, thank you for providing opportunities to young people. Thank you very much. Let's give Youth Build a round of applause. Where's LaBonge when you need him? The cheerleader. LaBonge, you're supposed to be, all right, now, do your job.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Weston. You know, part of why I wanted, I wasn't supposed to be here. I was in Wilmington at a public hearing this morning, so I was trying to get here as quickly as I could, and so I wanted Herb to stand in for me. But I think it makes a good statement of how we do work together at the state level and the local level. I mean, here's our great council member, Herb Weston, in his earlier life, passing legislation that benefited programs like Youth Build. And one of the reasons we're honoring this great program today is because we've got these young people who are graduating from the WLCAC's Youth Build program, which was founded by HUD. And we have here Jim Smith, and we have here Tim Watkins. Tim Watkins has such a long history in the community of Watts. He and his family have been really a part of the fabric and the backbone of the community of Watts for as long as I can remember. And I think it was a great partnership that Youth Build partnered with the Watts Labor Community Action Committee to have this program and to graduate these young people. And as Herb said, it's really important. A lot of our young people are out there without good opportunities, without skills. And what I love about Youth Build is it teaches them real skills, which will help them in their future in jobs and careers. But it also makes sure that they get their high school graduation. And those two things are key to our young people having productive lives and being on a road to success, fulfillment, and really making good choices in their life. 39 young men and women will be graduating from this program next Friday. I'm glad they're here today, and I really want to thank Tim and Jim for, caring about our young people. We have so many bad stories out there now about young people who've made bad choices, but you've really cared about these young people, and you've taken the two ingredients, job training and an education, and put those two together in a program that works. These are the kind of things we should highlight all the time, and we want to make sure there's funding for Youth Build to continue as we move forward. We're going to honor, and I'm going to let Tim and Jim say a few words, and then we're going to honor, we've got certificates for all of you, but I guess there was two leaders who are here today, Brittany Turner and Ronald Lister, that we're going to specifically honor. But before that, I'd like for Tim and Jim to say a few words.
Thank you, Janice. Good morning, council members, and I'd just like to say, wow, what a great day to have this acknowledgement. Cinco de Mayo time in the city, and as Janice said, so many negative stories that come out and that we have to grapple with, but every day down in Watts there are great things happening, and this is one of them. And I'd like to tell you and remind you that while we grapple with the budgets and the cutbacks and so on and so forth, nothing contributes to crime more than poverty. Nothing solves poverty like a job. And when you look at these young people, you're looking at a group that not only was guided and led through the program, they had to get up of their own volition every morning and make it to the place where they got that job, where they got that education, where they got their bank accounts set up, where they got their Social Security cards and their DMV status and all those things together that so many of us take for granted in the mainstream. But I got to tell you, it's hard, when you got to cross through a lot of hostile territories and a lot of confining barriers to get to where the place is that will lend you the assistance. And so I just, want to acknowledge them for the work that they've done. They are my heroes. Any of these youngsters that get up every morning and, and pass by the drug dealer, pass by the gang banger, to come for, what really amounts to a pretty meager subsistence because we give them a stipend, but it's not much. They're looking forward to the greater goal of becoming self-sufficient. And the other thing, on this day that we acknowledge Cinco de Mayo is the unity that we see in this group, that we don't have, the problem that everybody would tell us that we ought to have, that these youngsters work together every day. We're not having the problems of hostility and ethnic rivalry and all those other things that, the 6 o'clock news would push. We see them coming in a spirit of cooperation and making significant strides toward their goal. So my hat is off to them, and I applaud you all for recognizing them today. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Herb, for your kind words.
Members of the council, Madam President, Wendy, James Smith, and I'm the manager of the WLCAC Youth Build Program. I just want to say thank you for allowing us to come forward to be recognized today. The young people have had their hands on building 49 units of housing in the community that's going to open up to allow people to go and live at 49th and Figueroa. They have passed their GED test. They came through the door of Youth Build without a GED. They're going through the other door with the GED. They came through the door of Youth Build without construction skills. They're going through the door with skills to be able to go to unions and get jobs. And we just feel like we're doing the right thing locally in the community to work with the young leaders behind my back to do the right thing that you would want them to do. We do not want the 9th of May to be graduation where they go away and forget about us. We want them to go off and become alumni and to come back so that the next group that we recruit can know that this is an ongoing movement, not just one for the day and gone tomorrow. You heard the councilman say that he took leadership in the state to allow us to have a state budget with Youth Bill in it. Wendy, you know that as HUD representative that we have been in this game since 1995. So we want to just say thank you to all of you for keeping Youth Bill alive on the local level, on the state level. And we just want to let you know that we're going to be here not just for today but tomorrow too. And thank you very much for recognizing us.
Thank you. And Ms. Hahn, we do have Mr. Reyes would like to say a few words.
If I may, I know I've been coming to this microphone a lot this morning, but I can't help but just acknowledge all of you, Councilor Hahn, Councilor Weston. Together 2 years ago we talked about jobs for youth, and it is up to us to hold the department heads accountable to see how they are using their discretion every time they send out contracts, so that Youth Build could have a destination, a place to work. They can work in the harbor, they can work in the airport, they could work in any contract that we have discretion over. We should be asking every contractor, if you want to do business with the city, you need to work with us in hiring our youth, because that is the way we're going to get out of poverty. And so, you youngsters out there, Cinco de Mayo is about struggle, it's about victory, but more important, it's about spirit and the sense of self, your own pride, and making sure that every morning you get up, you get to that job, and you prove them wrong. You prove them wrong no matter where you live or how you look. It doesn't matter. You are valuable, you're important to us, and let's let them know that what they see in the press today is not who we are. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and Mr. Reyes, great remarks, and Jim and Tim and Parker. See, you got Parker helping you out, which is so important on that. But to the young people, to have success is all what anyone wants when they wake up in the day, and you're getting success from Youth Build. But you taking the steps to do it, you got great leadership that's helping you push there. And Mr. Wesson, for your leadership in the past, and up in Sacramento and over at the county. And Ms. Hahn, for your leadership all the time. It's a struggle, as you know. Something on a Monday comes up on a Friday, and all of a sudden you have to make those steps to try to make it. But God willing, there's another day. But the greatest thing about what you do is you could have come back and look at what you built. and you're going to feel proud about it, which is so important. And I just want to say one thing, Ted, if you would. I think you have some of the greatest T-shirts that I've ever seen that it shows the building. And I don't know if anybody could turn around and see the back of Youth Build and the one with the Watts Towers. Where's the one with the Watts Towers there? Get the camera back there. Who's got the Watts Towers? One of the great, beautiful there, all of that. Great work there. So whoever's that creative artist there, good job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Ms. Hahn, I just wanted to add, because Jim and I, it was when I was at HUD on Youth Build and the beginning of this wonderful program that has given kids hope, as Mr. Reyes and Ms. Hahn and Mr. Wesson have said, and Mr. LaBonge. These are the kind of programs that we've talked about that help kids have alternatives to gangs and be able to achieve in their lives. And so I just want to thank you all for this recognition that you're providing to WLCAC and Youth Build. But it was one of those programs that I felt very proud that during the time I was in the administration that actually got started and continued, and the state through, as Mr. Weston mentioned, leadership to continue that on and have a partnership. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you. And Ms. Hahn.
If you want, Parker, you want to say something?
No. No, I want the students to talk.
Okay.
That's who I want to hear from.
Okay. We know you're all leaders, but apparently we're singling out two of you, Brittany Turner and Ronald Lister, who are on the what?
Policy committee.
The policy committee. Okay. Would Brittany and Ronald come forward? Hi, Brittany. Congratulations. And we'd love for you to say a few words.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank y'all for having us. Thank you for my certificate. But Youth Build, it's not only about construction. We have Leadership Fridays. We have manners. We pull up our pants. We say no to drugs. We do it all. Youth Build, I don't know. When I first came to Youth Build, I wasn't even interested in construction. I didn't have nothing to do with construction. I know everything now. So, I don't know. I just feel that it's a good program. I think y'all should really pay us some mind because we had our little struggles and stuff like that, but we get out and we get the job done. Our work site is on 49th and Fig. It's done. It's there. I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ronald, congratulations for being in leadership committee on this, and here you go. And we'd love for you to say a few words.
Okay. How y'all doing? First, my name is Ronald Lister, chairperson of the policy committee. Youth Build is a great program. I've been in it for the whole 9 months. So, it's helped me out a lot, though. It helped me get off the streets. I was out there doing certain stuff, but since I've been in Youth Build, it helped me to learn construction, get my GED, and help me to move forward.
And again, we have certificates for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's been a request. We'll do item number 14 next and acknowledge Mr. Alarcon. Yes, we do have cards on that. Yes. Yes, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, items 1 through 3 through 7 are street lighting ordinances, and a vote was needed for that.
Yes, so we'll, colleagues, items are now before us. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. There is no card on 1. We have a card on item 2. Did you put a card in on 2? All right, we'll hold item 1. So it'll be items 3 through 7. So open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you.
Excuse me, 11 ayes.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, we'll go to public comment on item number 14. I'd ask the following individuals to come to the podium. Luana Torres, Richard Polanco, our former Senate Majority Leader, Margarita Lopez, Evelina Alarcon, and Yvonne Wheeler. Whoever would like to go first, since you seem all together, would like to give Mr. Polanco, or?
Sure. Good morning, Madam President, distinguished members of this council.
I'm Richard Polanco, former state senator, former Senate Majority Leader. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today to speak on behalf of a very, very important and very special resolution. As you know, I had the privilege of authoring the bill that created a state holiday for one of America's great heroes, Cesar Chavez. My intention then, and the intent was not to create the holiday for the sake of the holiday, but more important was to institutionalize a curriculum that highlights the contribution of the United Farm Worker Movement, the workers, and in particular, highlight the contribution and service of this great American leader, Cesar Chavez. Before you, you have a resolution that will give the city the opportunity to participate in a national movement, a movement that is being implemented in 60 cities across the nation, in 30 states as we speak, to create a national holiday for this individual. Not so much for the individual, but for the contribution, for the service. What a beautiful vision it would be to see the entire country of the United States of America participate in a community service day. Again, not for the sake of the individual, but what he stood for: justice, equality, tolerance, giving, sharing, loving. Being able to be a leader, to take a stand, even if it meant being alone. I had the honor and the privilege to work with this incredible leader. And his legacy lives because of his contribution. His legacy lives because, like the great leaders of his time, the Martin Luther Kings, Sister Teresa, the Gandhis, individuals who took a stand because it was the right thing to do. Individuals who did not falter on how it might look. And so I'm here today as co-chair of the Cesar Chavez National Holiday Coalition to request your support in passing this resolution and participating in an effort that pays tribute, honor, and recognition to an incredible human being, an incredible hero, an incredible American. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Evelina Alarcon, and I'm the Executive Director of the Cesar Chavez National Holiday Coalition that is based here in Los Angeles, and we're spearheading the effort to make Cesar's birthday a national holiday. And yes, I'm related. I'm the older sister of Councilman Alarcon, and I want to thank, I have seniority. I want to thank Councilman Alarcon and Councilman Huizar and the Councilman Cardenas and Garcetti who put this resolution before the City Council. The City Council has supported the effort to honor Cesar Chavez from the beginning when we started with the state holiday. And this resolution ups the ante because Ed Reyes had already put a resolution prior to this in support of the holiday, but this does something in specific to support H.R. 76, which is sponsored by Congressman Baca and going to the House of Representatives for the national holiday. Now, Cesar Chavez deserves a national holiday because he was one of the most important leaders of the 20th century. And on March 26th, we launched the nationwide actions across the country. And this was the first time that nationwide actions were held on this issue and for Cesar on his birthday. And we were successful in getting over 70 cities in 31 states that celebrated Cesar's birthday and called for the national holiday. That represented the most wide-ranging celebration of Cesar Chavez's birthday ever in the history of our nation. And that included that there were 5 states in the South, many states on the East Coast, Maui, Hawaii, The governors of 4 states proclaimed Cesar Chavez Days for the first time in Kansas, Maine, Nebraska, and Washington, and that's in addition to the 10 states that already now have a holiday. So we ask you today to join. When the City Council of Los Angeles passes a resolution, it assists us all over the country. That is true from day one. So when you pass this resolution, it will become, as we hope we encourage you to do, it will become a model for all the other cities, and we look forward to you doing that. And we appreciate all the support that you've given in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Margarita Lopez. I'm at 13047 Harvard Street in Summer. I'm actually the co-chair of this year's Cesar Chavez Commemorative Committee of the City of San Fernando Valley. And I'm proud to say that for the last 15 years, the Cesar Chavez Commemorative Committee has honored Cesar Chavez with an annual March for Justice, Cultural Arts Festival, and art and essay contest. I am here to support a resolution to establish a Cesar Chavez national holiday. As we all know, Cesar Chavez devoted his entire life to improve the living condition of all workers, their salaries, and to establish health benefits for those who didn't have it. Thanks to him, thousands of workers' lives have improved. But his influence goes beyond workers. He has inspired people all over the world, great leaders like today. He inspired teachers and community members to devote their lives to social justice. And most of all, youth has been inspired by his legacy. Even though I didn't have the pleasure to meet him, I could say that I've learned his legacy and practiced my life by it. I would like to encourage you, as already 8 states have done, to honor him by having a national holiday. Even more, the best way to honor Cesar Chavez, in my view, is to work together to continue improving the living conditions of all workers with dignity and respect. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam President, and members of the City Council, but especially to City Council Richard Alarcon and other members of this City Council that has co-sponsored the resolution in support of a national holiday for Cesar Chavez, and in favor of House Resolution 76 introduced into Congress by Representative Joe Baca. My name is Yvonne Wheeler, and I'm the representative of the Western region of the National AFL-CIO, and I'm proud to join with other leaders present today to speak in favor of this resolution. The AFL-CIO and its members are strong supporters of a national holiday for Cesar Chavez. Our national convention unanimously adopted a resolution in support, and the AFL-CIO is part of the national coalition that is working to establish a national holiday and day of service, learning, and action. On April 1st, AFL-CIO Executive Vice President Arlene Holt Baker joined Representative Joe Baca and other members of Congress and leaders of national organizations in Washington, D.C. at a press conference in support of the national holiday and H.R. 76. She said, and I quote, "We support this holiday because we want to honor what Cesar Chavez did in his lifetime. And we support this holiday because the legacy of Cesar Chavez will inspire others to soldier on. And there is still so much work left to do." Cesar Chavez's life and work won the support of millions to the cause of the right of farm workers to be organized into a union, and then the right to negotiate a contract free of intimidation and harassment on the job. Today, too many working people in this country don't have the freedom to join unions and bargain collectively because the system is broken. So we need to remember and honor Cesar Chavez while we continue to battle to pass the Employee Free Choice Act. And I would like to take a point of privilege today to ask this City Council to pull your resolution, the Employee Free Choice Act resolution, out of the committee and pass it and join with other city councils across this country who passed the Employee Free Choice Act and stand with organized labor in support of it. Farm workers continue to battle In the fields here in California and in Florida, where mostly immigrant workers who pick tomatoes in fast food industries are still being treated like slaves. Workers in North Carolina are suffering and dying from dehydration and nicotine exposure in tobacco fields of R.J. Reynolds. A national holiday honoring Cesar Chavez will bolster all of these struggles by reminding working people of what is possible through strength and solidarity. Cesar Chavez is a hero for all races and nationalities. Dr. King sent Cesar Chavez a message saying, "Our struggles are really one and the same." A national holiday for Cesar Chavez's birthday, like the King holiday, will inspire people to join together to win economic and social justice for all. On behalf of President John Sweeney, Executive Vice President Arlene Halt-Baker, and our Executive Treasurer, Richard Trumka, and 10 million workers of the AFL-CIO, we ask this City Council to adopt this resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lawana Torres, and then we will go down to City Hall for Herman Armando after the speaker.
Good morning. My name is Juana Torres, and I work for the National Sierra Club. I'm also a resident of District 3. On behalf of the Sierra Club, we're here to show our tremendous support for a resolution to establish a national holiday for Cesar Chavez. Chavez linked people and the environment and taught us all that we have a right to live in a healthy community and safe communities, and we believe at the Sierra Club that in order to have healthy communities, you need to have a healthy environment. His esteem for justice, public lands, citizen action, and the rights of workers and communities to a safe and healthy environment are core values for citizens and for the Sierra Club. These values should be celebrated through the establishment of a national holiday, and the Sierra Club is committed to do all that it can to honor this day. Thank you.
Okay, we have one other speaker from downtown, Herman Armando.
That's Armando Herman. Zuma Doug, how you doing? Now to speak and say, shouldn't legislation really put its efforts on the problems we have today? I am for what we speak about Cesar Chavez, but today the real issues are about how we make laws and how we plan to enforce these laws to assist us all. And I'm not going to go lengthily into this, but all I ask is that since this is being addressed to city councils citywide, statewide, let the voters vote on this before you make this decision, because again, this is about what taxpayers, this is about what voters should be considered in this process of legislation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And speakers from the council, Mr. Alarcon first.
Members, this city council has been on the forefront of asking the state of California to declare Cesar Chavez a holiday. And it was my pleasure as a state senator to vote and work with Senator Polanco to make that happen. But we are in the San Fernando Valley. And just as some people might misunderstand the Cinco de Mayo, they might also misunderstand the message of Cesar Chavez in communities that are not Hispanic. But the fact of the matter is, when Cesar Chavez was in the fields fighting to improve the quality of our food, fighting to eliminate pesticides that were damaging the workers, he knew that he was contributing to the families in the San Fernando Valley. He knew that the benefactors of those actions to make food safer would help certainly the farm workers, but it also helped everyone who eats the product of their hard labor. There were so many things that Cesar Chavez did that were good for everyone. He wasn't just about the farm worker. He had a holistic view of the world. He was mentored by people like Gandhi and others, and shook hands with presidents throughout the world. He was knowledgeable of the specific task that he had to organize the Farm Workers Union. At the same time, he realized the global impact of doing so. He was a champion for social justice. He was a champion for the environment. He was a champion for nutrition. He was a champion for workers' rights. He was a champion who deserves to be recognized on the national scale along with other great Americans. And so it is my pleasure to introduce, along with Councilman Jose Huizar, Tony Cardenas, Ed Reyes, and Eric Garcetti. We couldn't figure out who could squeeze through the door fast enough to introduce this first, but I won. But all of us are doing this together because what Cesar Chavez understood is that in unity we will create a more harmonious world. And that's why he created the United Farm Workers of America. And so, secondly, I would like to point out that the tribute is not just about the past. It is not just about recognizing Cesar Chavez. As we did in the state of California, we incorporated into the holiday a call to action, a call to have young and old serve their community for a little bit of time. In the case of the state law, school children were asked to not just study a lesson about Cesar Chavez, but go out and provide some community service. So with this national holiday, we would hope to infuse the same spirit of that calling into the national holiday, so that throughout the nation, people will come, whether it's responding to a crisis in New Orleans or in downtown Los Angeles or throughout the nation, we will be there to provide service when others need help. That is the message of Cesar Chavez. I think it is an American message, and I think we should embrace his holiday on the national scale. This council has always been an easy vote in this regard. I expect support for this national holiday. But let's understand the message, and let's convey that message to our constituents as well. In fact, this Sunday, when we have our day of service, let's remember that Cesar Chavez contributed to our society in ways that went far beyond the farm workers, but nevertheless served them in a great way as well. He was a champion for the least among us, but in doing so, he helps those of us who have had better lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alarcon. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alarcon. And I have here before me a poster calling for the national holiday for Cesar Chavez that was distributed a few weeks ago when we announced this campaign. And hopefully we could see more and more of these go up throughout the country to show the importance and the movement behind this very important path that we've all put ourselves on. I want to thank everybody who came here today, and particularly Senator Polanco, who for many, many, many years the state of California had attempted to make a holiday for Cesar Chavez, and Senator Polanco, with his tenacity and his si se puede attitude, was able to make it happen. So thank you very much, Senator. You know, and I have one simple story as to why I believe that we should have a national holiday for Cesar Chavez. When I served on the school board, I was visiting a school, and a young boy came up to me and asked me, Jose, did Cesar Chavez really exist? And I was kind of intrigued by that question. But then I was even more intrigued by his follow-up question. I said, yes, he did exist. But then he continued to ask me, well, how could somebody so unselfish have existed? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we need a national holiday for Cesar Chavez. Because our young people need to look up to someone who was so unselfish, who was there to speak on behalf of those who did not have a voice, who was someone who was willing to stand up for what he believed in, who was someone who put first and foremost service to others before yourself. Those are the values that we would love to see our young people talking about. I was just floored beyond belief earlier this year when my young daughter came home and started talking to me about Cesar Chavez. I love that fact because I know how great of a person Cesar Chavez was, and I want my daughter to see the values that Cesar Chavez put before all of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, along with Martin Luther King and the likes of others that Martin Luther King and Cesar Chavez learned how to bring social change, like Mahatma Gandhi, we need this so that we move forward to show our young people that indeed there are values out there that are more important than ourselves. And my final point is this. This holiday would not only be for Latinos, it's for everyone. Cesar Chavez constantly talked about working on behalf of human dignity, everyone's dignity. We need this holiday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Weezer. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you. Well, I rise in absolute support of this council resolution and absolute support that we make this a national holiday honoring Cesar Chavez. So much has already been said on why it's important, why it's necessary. I always think, here we are in 2008, and for some naive reason, I keep thinking we should be at the place in this country where everyone who works is treated with dignity and respect and makes the kind of decent wages that allow them to live with some sort of a quality of life. We should be the place in this country where working poor is an oxymoron. We should be the place in this country where anyone who works should not be poor. But we are not. And we are not there, and we have so much work to do. And I think just in the few struggles that I've been involved in on the City Council, working for 2 years to give those hard-working hotel workers along Century Boulevard, those housekeepers, those room service people, the people that serve people in the restaurants, 2 years just to get them a salary of $9 an hour was a struggle that was fought, was opposed. Millions of dollars by the hotels were put against that. 2 years it took us to get the Supreme Court to say, no, you're right. These people do deserve to make a living wage. Or the struggle we're having with truck drivers, the independent truck drivers who really are the backbone of the goods movement industry, that day in and day out work in terrible conditions just to pick up or drop off containers at the Port of Los Angeles. We're working now to get them decent wages. There are so many struggles that we still have before us that a national holiday at this time in this country is so important. Honoring a man who certainly most of his notoriety was about with the farm workers, with the grapes and the lettuce. But one of his great comments to me, and I always remember this, he said, the struggle is never about the grapes or the lettuce or the tomatoes. The struggle is about people. It's always about people who deserve to have dignity and respect in this country. And this holiday, I believe, would make everyone stop and think and ask questions. Are people today being given that kind of dignity and respect that they deserve? So thank you to all of you who brought this forward. I am honored to stand up today and support the creation of a national holiday honoring a man who really gave that dignity and respect to so many people still today, Cesar Chavez.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I want to echo my colleagues and all their thoughts and words, but I strongly support this. Any occasion we have to ask ourselves as a nation, why is it that we have the highest number of people incarcerated in this free country? Why is it that we have the highest dropout rates in our high school students? If we can raise these questions, why is it that we have the kind of conditions that others would think would only exist in third world when they actually exist in our own cities? These are the type of issues that need to be addressed. We need to have that national discourse because it affects every man, woman, and child in this country. And that's what Cesar Chavez was about. How do we create a different type of world, and how do we as individuals have the ability to change that? Because he did it in his own way. He created a level of awareness that has been shared by Council. We saw where I have my children coming home, doing their reports, doing their profiles about this great man. So that's something that we need to continue supporting, and I encourage a unanimous vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. And I, too, rise in full support of this resolution supporting the national holiday. And as my colleagues have talked about their kids, we just had a conversation last night. My son, who came down to City Hall yesterday and got caught up a little bit. It was at 5 o'clock in some of the things happen around City Hall, and we started talking about marches. He wanted to know, why do people march? Why do they get together and do this? And I explained to him, and he's been to the Cesar Chavez marches since he was a little boy, and I explained to him why it was so important. And he said, you mean when they marched with Martin Luther King and they marched with Cesar Chavez? And he said, I want to understand why they do that. And I said, it's because people stand up and speak out for justice, and stand up and speak out for the importance of making sure people are who are treated fairly, and all of those reasons. And for many reasons that have been heard today, how important it is to have this national holiday. The one, I think, that Richard Polanco talked about, which was the education of our children and the importance of having that as part of our everyday knowledge, is critically important. And so our young people can continue to ensure that they stand up for those who do not have a voice. And that's what Cesar Chavez did. And that's why this is so important, why the city of Los Angeles and having a Cesar Chavez Day in the state is critically important. And a national holiday is the right next step for us to do. So I stand in solidarity with those who came today and appreciate it, and recommend an aye as well.
Thank you, Ms. Gruhl. Mr. Rosendahl.
Indeed, we all stand up to honor one of our national leaders. I had the pleasure in 1968 to be with Bobby Kennedy as Bobby Kennedy and Cesar Chavez formed a coalition to try to make the world a better place. Senator Kennedy died actually almost 40 years ago on the 5th of June 1968. But what we need in America are role models, and what we need in America are people that give us hope and that give us the kind of energy to make the world a better place. Cesar Chavez is one of our heroes. He's someone who took the Latino community from behind the bush and into the light. And he is one who truly fought for dignity and equality and basic rights. Look, a farm worker's out there bringing the food together that we all eat, and they're exposed to the pesticides, they're exposed to the heat, they're exposed to working conditions that are not necessarily the best conditions. Many of them are immigrants. Many of them can't speak the language. And what he did was champion those who were least likely to get the support of anybody. And what he did was develop Latino pride, the same pride that Martin Luther King for African Americans. Us Anglos have a lot of role models that we've played with for forever. But the reality is that the role model and the inspiration that a Cesar Chavez gives to all of us, young people and old people, is the kind of inspiration of dignity, respect, brotherhood and sisterhood and love for all. So obviously, I'm proud of my colleagues. I'm proud of everybody in the city here. And this has got to be a national holiday with the same energy that we've done for our other role models. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Mr. LaBonge.
Finalize some remarks. There's nothing in this country better than learning about each other, and the diversity of this country only is greater when we honor those like Cesar Chavez. So I stand to support this measure. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other speakers on the queue, we now prepare to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
11 ayes. Congratulations. We'll now take up item number 30. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, on item number 30, colleagues, you may recall last Friday we did have a public hearing, although we did not have a quorum at that time. And so, as the city attorney has advised, we're going to do two things as part of that public comment period. We will play the video from last Friday. It's about the 10 minutes of public comment. We have 3 additional cards. They will have a minute each to be able to speak as well today, and then we'll be able to have conversations about that item.
And if I could also jump in, this is a fair hearing matter requiring the council members' heightened attention.
Number 40, as we await the full Constitution here, and I know this has already been public hearing, so we're going to hear some comments from the public on this item which has been raised. Just like to recognize Ms. Gruhl to give some general
Thank you, if we
comments of
could,
her own.
and they have been extremely patient. This item was continued on Wednesday and brought today, and so I'd like, if we could, have that public comment.
We'll hear some comments from the public on the item that was heard in committee. Olga Kirarte is our first speaker, and after that will be Jasmine Sarkeesian. And thank you as well for your patience in a very busy morning. Good afternoon.
Thank you. I'm against the plan project. I live right behind where they're planning to make this plan. We are in disbelief and disappointed because, in our opinion, the city appears to have abandoned us, or the developers. We can't believe that over 20 years ago, the city denied a proposal to build an apartment building on the site because it was against the general plan for the neighborhood. And yet now, factories spewing chemicals in our homes is in the general plan. The development will be used for light manufacturing and parking for the businesses, which will emit chemicals including concentrated levels of lead that cause serious health problems. They are toxic and hazardous to human health. Light manufacturing can create these hazards, such as adding additional cars, which the parking lot will do. My understanding also that one of the future tenants will be an air conditioning repairman. One of the chemicals that he uses to repair air conditioners is called chlorofluorocarbon, which is bad for people who have asthma and other health problems. The mitigated negative declaration only addresses issues during construction. It does not mention anything after the factories are built. Kevin Jones said at the last hearing that there will be filters. Even if there's filters, even though there will be filters, they aren't going to stop the effects of hazardous chemicals. If it would, there would be no state law prohibiting the use of these chemicals within 500 feet of our homes. Filters do not prevent harmful diseases, not from 500 feet and certainly not from 60 feet behind our backyards. And yet we have to take time to convince you to protect our rights to health, welfare, and safety. And I want to also add that there's 2 schools, public schools, that are 0.2 miles from the planned project, and we already are getting a congestion, and stop signs they're not even respecting that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Jasmine Sarkeesian is our next speaker. After that is Edvard Karapetian.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jasmine Sarkeesian, and I live at 13156 Keswick Street, North Hollywood. The fact is that are going to be right behind my backyard. I'm worried about this. I live in the home with my 4 of my family members. My question is, why are you trying to overdevelop a site that in the past has always been a buffer zone to preserve our safety and our lives? Isn't that the city's main job to protect the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens? Having winds blowing cancer-causing chemicals into my house is not protecting my family's health, welfare, and safety. Even if they put filters, is that supposed to make cancer-causing chemicals non-cancerous? If that were true, then there wouldn't be any laws against having those chemicals around the people. The factory will be 60 feet behind my house, but California state law requires between 500 feet no hazardous chemicals shall be used with the residential property. So what kind of city government are you? Why don't you think about developers only? So the business is going to operate from 7 to 10 p.m. I am to leave the house at 5 a.m. to go to work. When I'm supposed to sleep, I need to be able to sleep to work and provide for my family. Is the city going to provide for my family when I can't work? No, of course not. Please, the city, we want to have a green and clean and safe. But that's not changing the zone is not gonna do that. So health issues, traffic issues, safety issues, home values, those are our concerns. So please consider it before changing the zone from the one is currently have. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Edvard Karapetian is next, and then Gardni Agi Manukian will follow after.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Edward Carpetian. I live in 13156 Keswick Street, North Hollywood. I'm worried about my family's health when they built this stuff on those properties. So please ask not to change the zoning, just leave the way it is. Should be happy. Thank you.
Thank you. We heard about keeping the zoning the way it is. Thank you.
Say it again.
Absolutely.
You didn't hear you. Say it again.
Thank you, sir.
I said just leave the zoning the way it is so we don't have to suffer from this.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Agarni Agi Manukian. And then Robert Lameshaw will be after that.
I think it was there's a reason that there's these zone laws.
Hello. My name is Agavdi Manukian, and I live at 13148 Keswick. The factories that are going to be built are going to be right behind my backyard. I'm worried about this. I have 3 children, and I won't feel comfortable with my kids using the swimming pool in my backyard because of the lack of privacy. I'm also afraid of somebody hopping the wall to break into our house or do something to my kids. On top of this, one committee in Van Nuys said we should have another wall. Yet the last committee, Planning and Land Use Management Committee, said we didn't need another wall. We're not even worth another wall. They said plants were enough for privacy, but it's not. They can use the trees or plants to help climb over the wall that's there now. I worry about my family's health. My husband has severe asthma, and if he becomes too ill to work, we will lose everything. The traffic is going to increase a lot on our street. There's only one entrance into this site, that's on Ethel. It's not going to be safe for my children to play out front. The businesses are going to operate from 7 to 10 p.m. also on Saturdays. That means there will be more than one shift of employees. So there will be a huge increase in traffic, not only in front of my house, but also down the street at the school where my child goes to. It's already very dangerous in that area. All of this is going to affect the value of my house. The factory will be 60 feet behind my house. It's going to be 2 stories and have 5 vents on top of the building facing the backyard of my house. Having factories right behind our house, 60 feet away from the factories and 8 feet away from the parking lot, we will have no privacy, no ability to enjoy the yard, reduction in safety, not being able to sleep at night because of traffic, noise, people, and lights shining into our homes. Who would want a home like that? How is that going to affect my abilities to sell my house? I only bought this house because we were guaranteed by the person we bought it from that there would be no development in that site. He showed us a copy of the city's refusal in 1987 to allow an apartment building to be built. I'm almost done. Please don't destroy my family's lives, our health, our ability to work, take away our safety, and destroy the value of our homes. Thank you.
Ms. Manukian. Robert Lameshaw, so last speaker.
What? I thought you were the card.
Good afternoon, Council. For record, my name is Robert Lameshaw with JPL Zoning Services, representing the applicants and developers. This project has been fairly heavily vetted and has gone before Plum, the Planning Commission, and a number of other agencies. We support the Commission's recommendation and Plum's recommendation based on the appeal we had, with a couple of minor changes. The committee, and I believe the council member, indicate that hours of 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. are acceptable for uses. We have no problem with this, but we would like to add the wording open to the public from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. A lot of the people who work at this place will sometimes have to work late. I mean, I'm sure you all have had to stay later and work on a computer, or just deal with what they're dealing with inside the office. There would be no adverse impacts, no public coming, no customers coming, no deliveries, none of the types of concerns that I think were legitimately addressed at the Plum Committee that Mr. Reyes, I think, did a very good job of dealing with, by allowing the business operators to continue to work inside the building, in a closed building, not open to the public after those hours. So we would like to propose that the hours be listed as 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday, as far as not being open to the public, and the not being open to the public from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday, and not open to the public all day Sunday. That means there would be nobody coming there except maybe the boss or the secretary who had to do some work to prepare something for Monday. We would also stipulate to a condition that said that there shall be no noise detectable outside of the buildings between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. to ensure that the quiet enjoyment of the residents which abut this property would not be infringed upon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lamashal. Ms. Gruhl.
That ends the video. Ms.
For
Gruhl.
some
Thank you.
comments
And I
and
know
response.
we want some clarification from the city attorney, just so we clear on this, that this, we have, this will be
Stereo.
finally discussed
Wendy,
and decided on
mouth it.
a week from today at the Van Nuys City Hall for further.
All right, we're back in Van Nuys.
I know
Ms.
you're all a
Gruhl.
little confused as to how that was a tape from last week. Some of you weren't sure you had heard it before, and others had not, and that was one of the reasons why we had it played. We do have, I think, 3 public speaker cards, 1 minute each, for a minute each. Thank you, and I'll speak after that.
Thank you, Ms. Gruhl. Olga Kiarte, followed by Jasmine Sarkian.
Yes, good morning. I just wanted to first say that, for the record, that I didn't see any of the city council listening to this tape, to the previous tape. I don't even know why they're actually playing it. I just wanted to also bring up the fact that filters have been brought up in the past. They're supposed to protect us against all these chemicals, but yet there will be emissions of carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and particulate matter 10 from the 98 cars that will be coming in behind our backyards. And that factory vents will blow straight into our homes. This is even more of a problem to those neighbors who have all these health problems. There will be different shifts. There will be noises coming from cars coming and going, engines turning on and off, people talking, radios blaring, and it will start from 7 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock p.m. There are going to be 98 cars behind my house, which makes it almost seem like a mini mall. But even mini malls have less cars and close before 10 p.m. The part of the property that is already developed with operating factories don't have vents facing their homes and blowing emissions into them.
Thank you.
Also-
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your comments. Jasmine Sarkian. Followed by Robert Lamashal.
Okay. The potential distribution of our lives and homes is too great to be approved without appropriate mitigation measures in place. Since there is no existing method to prevent those hazardous chemicals from coming into our properties, then there is non-adequate
In LA this week, imagine having your health insurance coverage canceled and being left with tens of thousands of dollars in medical bills. What the city is doing to prevent this from happening to you.
This is said to be the greenest residential complex in all of Los Angeles, and there will be many more after a decision this week by the LA City Council. I'm Gil Reyes with that story coming up.
And what city budget cuts mean for you, straight ahead.
This issue has been brought up several times already. We do have one comment that we'd like to bring forward regarding the proposed hours of operation, which would limit it to being closed to on Sunday. I suggest that this is a somewhat discriminatory and reflects a very sort of Christian bias that many Jews and Muslims don't observe the Sabbath on Sunday, and therefore to close and say that is the day that has to be closed would, I think, be unfair to people like me who have a Jewish background or Muslims who tend to observe the Sabbath on Friday. Additionally, I would again like to reiterate that we believe that limiting the hours, that the situation is open to the public, but inserting the words that it is not open to the public during the other hours would allow business operators to continue to function, would preserve the rights that are to protect the adjacent property owners, would not increase traffic. The last thing I bring forward is that the community plan does call for this as commercial light manufacturing, and that the existing zoning, which is P, is inconsistent with that plan. The neighbors are tending to look at a vacant lot and see that as a vacant lot. That's not going to remain vacant forever, and this proposal, I think, does protect the legitimate concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Lambershaw. Mort Allen?
I'm here on something else, but I just can't believe this, listening to this. I've worked that area for 46 years. We're losing every bit of industrial we have in the East Valley. Last year, a friend of mine's company had 100,000 feet. The city, or 200,000, gave them so much trouble they were doing T-shirts, silk screening, and we're harassing them so much that they packed up and they moved to Camarillo, and at least 300 homeowners went out there, okay? You've got all these people struggling. You did it to Marina Del Rey. You took out all of the industrial there for condos that are standing ready for foreclosure. And I don't understand how people can just say ruin the whole economy. I mean, you don't have any industrial left. We got a movie industry that's all gone to Burbank and all gone out to Simi now because they can't find a place. Now, everything uses chemicals today. For the movie industry, they build all the sets and everything. They've all been run out of North Hollywood. And how you can say that we don't need industrial, it's ridiculous. That's all.
And from downtown, Armando Herman.
Zuma Dog, are you listening to this? We all know that it's the greed of people wanting to expand, but today's economy is different. The economy of Reagan has changed. And when we receive our so-called minimum Social Security check, thank you, Bush, for nothing, then we will see the impact of our society as it gets worse and worse and worse every day. Projects like this are totally inappropriate because it should be viewed as to how it impacts public, how it impacts people in the community. But there is no consideration to the public anymore. So we're asking that we want further projects like this, and this one in particular, to be investigated from an outside source. Let the city pay to bring in an outside contractor to evaluate the situation as far as environmental impact to the area.
Can I ask you to
and
wrap
to
it
the
up?
community.
We have a 1 minute hearing.
And then give the report back to those of us within our communities as to what has happened on the outcome of this project and what is going to be the true environmental impact
Thank you very
affecting the
much.
people that I've heard today saying they're against it.
Thank you very much. Ms. Grohl?
Thank you very much. And again, many of the individuals who were here last Friday heard the testimony, but just in the best of caution, we had that again so people could hear today because there had been a public hearing as well in Mr. Reyes's committee. And I want to thank the community for being here. And to Mr. Reyes, who I know had a long discussion in the Plum Committee, and who limited the operations on the site to 10 p.m., which would apply to all the operations on this property, and removing that 24-hour possibility, as well as saying that the delivers could only be from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., which also will greatly reduce the noise impact on the neighbors. As stated by one of my constituents, there was many years ago a denial of an apartment complex on that location, and the reason at that time it was denied is because it was inconsistent with the zone. The P1 zone actually does allow for the industrial use, and we are finding this all over the city of Los Angeles, where you have industrial and residential, you have multifamily and single family, and what we try to do is limit the impact on the neighborhood as much as possible. The CM zone states that in the code that the building shall be so constructed and the activity shall be so conducted that all noise, vibration, dust, odor, and all other objectionable factors shall be confined, that no annoyance or injury will result to persons residing in the vicinity. As part of this proposal that, again, Mr. Reyes and my office worked on with the community and the developer, an 8-foot landscape buffer with trees will be planted on the northern property line to create a green screen to protect the view of the residential neighbors. Also, We'd like to add back the conditions that the 6-foot wall between the residential and the industrial still exists, and that what we've tried to do is mitigate a situation in which you have commercial next to residential. And so our opportunities here have been to try to limit the impact on that neighborhood. And I just want to thank Mr. Reyes for his leadership in the committee and really considering all the options and making some recommendations that helps the community as well.
Thank you, Alex. There are no other speakers on the queue. Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
10 ayes. That passes. Mr. Rosendahl wishes to call item number 24.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, there's a piece of, if we could ask Mr. Boakes to come on up to the center there. There's a piece of legislation that will be on the ballot in November for all of us to vote on, and we would really like to get everybody's support. It's intergovernmental support for the California Prevention of Farm Animal Cruelty Act. And this will go into effect if the people vote for it in 2015. To briefly tell you what it is and then to have our great guy explain it, and we have public comment cards and people in the community as well to speak. All right, the bottom line is this. The animals that we eat go through a process that none of us would want any animal to go through. They should be treated with respect and dignity in the process of their lives as well. And what this talks about is the prohibit an animal from being confined in a farm if the animal cannot lie down, stand up, fully extend its limbs, or turn around freely. This measure would prohibit California factory farms from confining animals in the most restrictive cages, such as veal crates for calves, battery cages for egg-laying hens, gestation crates for breeding pigs. This law would take effect, as I said, in 2015, which would give the producers ample time to transition to a more humane system. Now, that's the humanity of the dignity of the animals, but for us, if we want to be just into our human sense here, it affects the quality of our food. We all benefit from safe and natural food supplies. Animals raised in farm factories are kept in unnatural, crowded conditions and are subject to a number of chronic and production-related diseases that will affect humans. Large numbers of animals are often raised together, usually in confinement buildings, which may increase the likelihood for us of health issues with the potential to affect us, carrying either by the animals or large quantities of animal waste with contaminated air, water, and soil. Millions of us, by the way, drink water from groundwater that shows moderate or severe contamination from nitrogen-containing pollutants, mostly due to the heavy use of agriculture fertilizers and high rates of application of animal waste. Farm factories is most energy-intensive than traditional practices of raising food for animals. It requires disproportionate large inputs of fossil fuel, industrial fertilizers, and other synthetic chemicals. For example, the ratio of fuel energy inputs per unit of food energy produces is 3-to-1 for all U.S. agricultural products combined. But for industrially produced meat, such as beef products, the ratio can be as high as 35-to-1. These practices produce an expanded array of negative environmental effects on local and regional water, air, and soil resources. So both us as humans are affected by what we eat, and obviously the travesty of how these animals are treated in the process. Would you just comment on it, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember, and Madam President and members of the Council. With your indulgence, I'd like to preface my comments with a quote from Cesar Chavez in my appreciation for your earlier vote for the national holiday. I think Cesar Chavez really represents the best of all of us and is a hero that transcends many, many boundaries. He once said, "We need in a special way to work twice as hard to help people understand that the animals are fellow creatures. We must protect them and love them as we love ourselves. We know we cannot be kind to animals until we stop exploiting them. Exploiting animals in the name of science, exploiting animals in the name of sport, exploiting animals in the name of fashion, and yes, exploiting animals in the name of food." I think that if Cesar Chavez was here this morning, he would urge you as well to vote for this piece of legislation. I want to thank the council members Rosendahl and Alarcon for introducing this important motion, and I urge the City Council to join the City of San Francisco and other California communities in supporting this modest ballot measure. the hundreds of LA residents who volunteered their time to collect thousands of signatures, as well as the over 800,000 individuals who signed the Humane Farm petition, agree with Council members Rosendahl and Alarcon that this initiative reinforces LA's long-standing commitment to protecting the health and welfare of all animals by preventing the inhumane treatment of animals. This initiative is sponsored by the Humane Society of the United States, Farm Sanctuary, and many other national and California animal welfare groups, including California Family Farmers, California Veterinarians, and public health and safety professionals. And very recently, the LA Animal Services Commission voted in support of a very similar piece of, or a very similar motion. This initiative asks for only the most basic needs for farm animals, merely the ability to turn around and extend their limbs. It is hard to imagine a more moderate initiative. This measure will prevent 3 methods of the most cruel and inhumane forms of extreme confinement in the world of animal agribusiness: veal crates, battery cages, and gestation crates. All 3 of these practices have already been outlawed in the European Union.
1 minute.
The Prevention of Farm Animal Cruelty Act will reduce the suffering of nearly 20 million animals confined in California factory farms each year. Florida, Arizona, and Oregon have already banned gestation crates, and in Arizona has banned veal crates. Some major California food retailers are already voluntarily moving away from the cruel use of battery cages in veal and gestation crates. As a city, we would never permit animals in our shelters to endure the confinement so restrictive that they couldn't extend their limbs for months on end. And as Californians, we shouldn't support such cruelty to farm animals. All animals, including those raised for food, deserve humane treatment. During these difficult fiscal times, it is important to know that California's legislative analyst has determined that the fiscal impact of this initiative is limited to minor costs that will be offset by revenue from fines. This ballot also gives farmers until the year 2015 to phase in more humane production practices. This measure is humane and very reasonable, and I ask the City Council for a yes vote.
Thank you very much for that. It's obviously anybody goes down the 5 freeway and sees how those cattle are treated on the way to their slaughter, it just makes you sick. If it would be possible, Madam President, we could open up the public comment, a minute apiece.
Minute apiece. Okay.
Thank you.
I ask the following individuals to come forward: Jane Garrison, Dr. Pia Salk, Patty Schenker, and Sherry Schenker. I think if you could come to the yes, up to the microphone, and then I'll call 4 other names after that. Please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jane Garrison. I'm a volunteer with the Humane Society of the United States and speaking on its behalf. We represent over 10 million supporters nationwide and over 1.5 million who are California residents. And we ask for your support on this resolution to endorse this important proposition. Over 800,000 Californians signed this proposition. I was a volunteer signature gatherer, and I gathered over 4,300 signatures and was the second highest gatherer in the state. So I'm very, very familiar with this issue. Thank you. I want to point out that there are very reasonable exemptions for this proposition as well. It will exempt rodeos, 4-H programs, animal research, transportation, and also during veterinary care. It's backed, as it was said earlier, by the Humane Society of the United States, over 200 veterinarians and growing, and also family farmers. And very important to point out that on just this past Tuesday, the prestigious Pew Commission released the results of a 2.5-year examination into industrial farm animal production. And it concluded, and I quote, "A measure on the California November ballot would phase out battery cages, gestation crates, and veal crates. These are the type of modest animal welfare public policy improvements that the commissioners recommend implementing." So I hope that, again, LA can lead the way in animal welfare and vote in support of this resolution today. Thank you so
very
much.
Dr. Pia Salk.
Good morning, members of the council. I'm Dr. Pia Salk. I'm a professional psychologist, and I'm here to tell you something you already know, and it's that compassion of any kind breeds more compassion, and that drawing arbitrary lines in the sand regarding who is worthy of compassion is at the very root of all social injustice. I'm proud to say that I have witnessed the City Council take compassionate action when given the chance to do so, and I applaud your efforts thus far. So today I simply ask that you continue the important work you have begun. Our request today is quite simple, that you endorse our efforts to secure a few more inches for animals living on factory farms. Arguments from the ag and livestock industries will distract you, confuse the issue, and make counterintuitive claims regarding why these practices need to be sustained. And in fact, not one of their counterclaims addresses the very issue on the table, the humane treatment of animals who make them their millions. In fact, their disregard for humanity and for our very sensibilities is so absent from the equation that it's offensive. And it says volumes about the greater morality that's really at stake if we do not support this initiative wholeheartedly. Furthermore, to allow the inhumane confinement of these animals to continue when given an option to oppose it sends a very destructive message to the youth looking on. The youth who look to us for a sense of right and wrong. The youth of today are perpetually confused by a culture that preaches peace, compassion, humanity, and nonviolence, but then allows these ethics to become ignored.
Yeah, if I could ask you just to conclude, thank you.
Sure. Please take action against this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Salk.
Good morning, City Council. First of all, I want to thank you for your spay-neuter resolution.
Patty, right?
Really,
Patty?
Yes, Patty Shanker. And I want to, I'm here today to ask you to pass this resolution for farm animals. Today's session has been a lot about improving lives, and that's what we're here to do, to improve the lives of these poor farm animals that cannot move around. I won't go into that. I have a video that I produced 6 years ago called Life Behind Bars, which talks about all three of these issues, all three of these horrific confinement cages. And it shows how these animals live their natural lives and how they live under this confinement. I ask you to please pass this resolution. I also want you to know that a Zogby poll was taken, and 86% of Americans know and will admit that animals feel pain and suffer, and that they should be treated humanely while they are alive. At a time in our history when our government puts profits and special interests above us, the people, we must stand up against these powerful forces and once again put humanity and humane compassion above all else. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Sherry, followed by Valerie Belt, followed by Donna Pearman and Miriam Fogler.
Hi, I'm Cherie Shankar, no relation to Patty, for the record. I first want to thank council members Rosendahl and Alarcon for bringing this resolution to the council. It's very forward-thinking and a timely resolution. And this isn't just about animal lovers. Prestigious institutions like the Pew Commission and the United Nations are in favor of banning these inhumane farming practices of gestation crates, veal crates, and battery cages. And I just thank the council for bringing this to the attention of the city, and I hope you'll pass this resolution.
Thank you. Yes.
The next lady, Valerie Belt, came to me in office hours and shared this with me and created the energy going for it. And I just want to thank you before you speak for what you've done for us.
Thank you. My name is Valerie Belt, and I am a resident in Councilman Rosendahl's district. And I'm here today as an educator and as someone who tries to help people understand how we can live with compassion and respect for all life. For a number of years, I've been working to educate others about animal cruelty issues and how we need to put an end to animal suffering. I've had the opportunity to speak with students as young as 11 and 12 years old regarding conditions on factory farms, and I have to say that their insights and responses are as natural as they come. They're horrified, and they're unable to comprehend why this is continuing to be allowed to these animals. You know, animals are born with everything they need to survive and to live a natural life, but their natural instincts and character traits are completely suppressed on these factory farms. They can't stretch their limbs, and they can't even turn around. As Matthew Scully, a former speechwriter for George W. Bush, said in his book, Dominion, so far removed are modern factory farmers themselves from nature that you wonder if they would even know how to care for the animals under any conditions other than radical deprivation. The Prevention of Farm Animal Cruelty Act would address this issue of deprivation and suffering, things that a majority of Californians not only find disturbing, but unacceptable. The research, facts, studies, and reports all indicate that there indeed is something very wrong with factory farming. And more importantly, as the late Gretchen Weiler once said, animals should have the right to swim if they have fins, run if they have legs, and fly if they have wings. I ask you to please support this unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Donna Perriman, followed by Miriam Tolka.
Thank you. I'm Donna Perriman. I'm happy to see this resolution for humane animals. Why make them suffer as much as they do? It's inhumane. If you saw what they did, you wouldn't eat meat. It's horrible. They fatten up the cows in an unhealthy manner, making them so heavy it kills them. I even heard cows eating hay with dead cows as meat sprinkled in. Cows lying down, wallowing in the mud. And the chickens that can't walk, being in cages, laying eggs all day except for the cage-free eggs. It's terrible to think of chickens not literally able to walk. They take them out and they stumble all over the place. So I'm thankful that you have a resolution like this, and God would be happy that the city council is wanting to help animals, and so will I. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fogler?
My dad was raised on the farm, and I know that he wouldn't have. This is despicable and disgusting. I've heard from the major newspapers about the way they treat cows before they slaughter them. They turn them over, and then they're so inhumane the way they do it, and making the poor cow suffer in extreme pain. Of course, in the Jewish belief, they're supposed to cut the catheter and so that the animal doesn't feel any pain. But the meantime, the way they're doing it, they do this in a massive production, and it's got to be done in a humane way so that the animal doesn't suffer. That's the main thing. And I hope that the city will do something about the cats, because when I go see the cats, they're all in these boxes here, really small. They need bigger containers. Why don't we use the one on Sherman Way to make a place for the cats so they have room?
Thank you very much, Ms. Fogler. Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, I just want to thank the community for coming out. I want to thank the leadership and the council here, and I look for your unanimous support of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, if you could open the roll on this item, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next item will be item number 26.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Public comment cards, Joe Higgins, followed by Lisa Sarkin, followed by Barbara Monahan-Burke.
Are we going to get to public comment?
We will be going to public comment after this. Mr. Higgins, followed by Lisa Sarkin, and followed by Barbara Monahan-Burke. If you could all please come up. Mr. Higgins. Mr. Higgins, go for it. 1 minute.
Good morning, Madam President. Joe Higgins, resident of Studio City, Council District 2. I just would like to say that I am in support of the preferential parking district number 75, and we ask you to support what is there. And we also ask for an expansion due to increased development in the area. Please take that into consideration. Thank you very much.
Lisa Sarkin, I'm here for the Studio City Neighborhood Council. There's 5 new developments on this street, on Laurelwood. It's right by the Carpenter Avenue School. There's no parking on these streets at any time. The major issue here, I believe, is that no one sent back their documents requesting this area remain as preferential parking. I don't think that the people who are living there now actually know anything about what went on before the preferential parking was put in. And for that reason, the Neighborhood Council would have been could have given them some assistance, but we didn't know about this until it came on the agenda. So I'm asking you to please keep at least those 2 streets. We would like some time, if there's any way possible, to be able to outreach to these people, to be able to find out whether they actually know what this means and what would affect them. There are now 4 clubs rather than 2 when this district was originally set up, and I really do think that nobody realizes what will occur if the parking is allowed to go back to regular parking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable City Council, I am Barbara Monahan Burke, 4223 Wilkinson Avenue, Studio City, a member of the board of the Neighborhood Council. And today I'm speaking personally, having dealt extensively with this highly congested, dense area. I support approval of the temporary preferential parking district 75, but I ask you to reinstate the 3 areas that you are trying to take out of it, and I also ask you to expand the area to include, but not limited to, West Laurelwood and the rest of Laurel Drive. We understand there has not been proper extensive outreach to this area. It's highly congested, traffic-wise, parking-wise, and also density, more and more every day. So please, I do support this, but I would like these changes today, hopefully, if that's not possible, in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And colleagues, even though I'm here at the chair, I'd just like to respond. Unfortunately, we have a May 5th deadline in which this will, if we do not act today, it will not be renewed. We can consider those other 3 areas. Unfortunately, because none of the residents of that area ever applied for permits over the period of time in which this preferential parking was there, DOT has indicated we cannot at this time continue those streets that did not. We can look to expand on other areas because I agree with my constituency that this is a problem area, particularly because of development and the school that is in that area. We're kind of tied today to take action on this item, but we'll work with the community as we go forward. So I would ask for an aye vote on that item today. So, Madam Clerk, if you could please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. We'd like to reconsider item number 11. If you could open the roll on reconsideration, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Mr. Rosendahl?
Thank you. We have an amending motion that's been passed around, and we'd like you to vote aye on it at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. That is now before us, that amending motion. If you could, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. We'll have that go forthwith. Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. We will now go to public comment. We do, colleagues, have a minimum quorum here. So I think to ensure we have quorum for all the public comments, it'll be a 1-minute public comment period. We should ask. Well, okay. Well, what I'm saying to you is there are people that are excused that may leave, and we will not have a quorum. So either we can go with each person having 2 minutes, or we can have just 1 minute, and then everyone will be able to have an opportunity to speak. Okay.
I would just suggest you give everybody 1 minute, but if you need an extra little bit, you take it. Everybody get their points to the point. So that's what I would move. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I think unless there is disagreement with that, we'll do it in that fashion. Thank you, Mr. Labange. Sir, okay, you're out of order. I'd like to call Mr. Noel Weiss as our first speaker.
Okay, Council, ghosts of the City Council, good afternoon, and those that happen to be here. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has changed, that ever has." Gandhi, "Be the change you try to create. The will to be is the will to become." I think this council needs to really decide publicly, maybe through a debate, what your legacy is going to be. Because right now, we don't have a debate on housing policy. We don't have a debate on industrial policy. We don't even have decent data. And you know what? The minute situation is just, I mean, it's a farce, people. If you want public comment, you want public input, this is not the way to do it. And frankly, I think the whole thing is an embarrassment as far as the way this entire meeting has been handled. It's not right. I don't have enough time to make any kind of a meaningful comment. I don't think anybody does. And it's really wrong, Mr. LaBonge, and Ms. Gruhl, and council. And frankly, you don't even listen to yourselves half the time, let alone the public. Wrong.
Ms. Terry Ford.
Good morning. I'm Terry Ford from AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and we're here today to ask your help with an urgent situation. We're facing foreclosure on one of our critical programs located in Councilman Weiss's district, Lynn House, although it serves people from most of all of your districts. Some of you may know about the situation. We're not here to go into the detail of it, but rather to ask your help in urging the mayor and the city attorney's office to simply agree to a mediation to resolve this issue. It is now in litigation, which is not where we want it to be. We have offered and asked for mediation, and the city attorney very curtly declined and proceeded to foreclose on Lynn House. That is not right. I know Lynn House well. I oversaw the building of it. I know every nail and floorboard in the building, and then I became the director of the facility, 1994 to 1998. It was built with a commitment to serve the community of Los Angeles, which it still does today. AHF is the largest AIDS organization in the United States, and we operate in 20 countries now, globally. We are not based in New York, Chicago, or Miami. We're based in Los Angeles and have been for 20 years. We're a pride to this city, and we hope that we're a pride to you, our city council.
And Mr. Weiss's office, I know, just indicated they would love to chat with you about the current situation and be able to help. So,
fantastic.
Mr. Weiss's staff will do that. If I could
Great.
just ask you to conclude.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we just encourage you to please ask the city attorney to meet with us for a fair mediation and to not allow the foreclosure of a critical project that serves all of your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you
and
very
thank you
much.
for Councilman Weiss agreeing to meet with us.
Thank you. Sean Ewell Murphy, followed by Rick Nightingale, followed by Lisa Sarkin.
Good afternoon, Councilman. How are you today? MTA's not being honest again. The Metro's not being honest with the people. There's no show goes out to Dodger Stadium with people without cars. How are people supposed to get to Dodger Stadium without a car? Take a taxi cab? I don't think so.
Thank you. Rick Nightingale, followed by Lisa Sarkin and Mildred Higgins.
Yeah, my name is Rick Nightingale. It's regarding the May Day thing. I didn't come last year when the police officers did their job. I'm sorry to say that you people didn't back the police department up. I was in the National Guard during the '65 riot, and I had riot training, and they did it right. Nobody goes behind the line. That is the rule. No matter what happens, who it is, or what it is, nobody goes behind the line. And you people didn't back the police department up. That was one of the reasons. And then you turn around and backpedaled for everything else regarding everything else that came down regarding it. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, and what happens is that when I had a friend of mine that was a Mexican person, and when I was 13 years old, he told me a story regarding they would take over the state of California without a shot, and they have. And I believe everybody's equal, but when they turn around and come and they don't want to learn our language, when you turn around and hear that they're taught not to learn English, it's really upsetting. I'd like to speak a little bit farther on it, but you cut us off at a minute. I've been waiting here all morning. It's unfair. Bring us ahead before you give all these certificates to people and so forth. My time is just as valuable as yours. I'm old, and I feel like my time is going bye-bye, just like you are. So I think you ought to take into consideration the people that speak, because we don't have very long to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Sarkin.
Lisa Sarkin, Studio City Neighborhood Council, and I'm the chair of the Land Use Committee. You have 3 letters in front of you that the Neighborhood Council has sent in. We have no response from anybody on them. One is that we have requested that the Plum Committee be expanded so that it has members of the Valley who live in the Valley on it to represent the constituents. Number 2, we have supported this Ventura Boulevard specific plan and asked that the PRB be brought to its full constituency or appointees or whatever you want to call them, but the people that are on the board now have been there. One of them has been on the board for 17 years. This plan only allows for people to be on the board for 8. We want the plan to be enforced, and we need the PRB to do it. The next is that we ask you to support the baseline mansionization ordinance next Tuesday when it comes up before the council. We need this, and then we ask you to support the Studio City overlay that will be coming very soon to you after that. Do I get to say anything else?
If you'd like to say a concluding comment.
Okay.
And as you know, you've expressed this to me, and I've seen on email and in person.
Okay. And my concluding comment would be that the coalition we have a Ventura Boulevard coalition, Ventura Boulevard, I don't know the whole name of it. It doesn't matter right now. We don't support these billboards. We believe that the specific plan quite specifically states that nothing that moves, that nobody knew what an LED was when it was written, so we believe that these billboards
Thank
should
you, and
not
we
be
are
allowed.
we are working on
Thank
that, Ms. Sarkin, as to the specific plan requirements. Mildred Higgins, yes.
San Fernando Valley, after the meeting, if she'd like to discuss issues, Ventura Boulevard. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
Good morning, councilpersons. I came on the dash. The time schedule's available at www.mta.net. This is coming and that's going. Also, I wanted to talk about the budget. What made me think of this was Ms. Gruhl brought it up in the budget hearings about the increase dash coverage. That would be helpful to a lot of persons. Also, talking about the full funding for the neighborhood councils, I'm a residential homeowner stakeholder in Studio City. It is imperative that we have the money to come into our community for our discretion of the stakeholders within our community. Form can be downloaded from the website at www.scnc.info, www.scnc.info, and submitted to the Budget Committee for consideration of a project within the bounds. I'd like also to talk about state law SB 1818 and the ordinance passed by you recently. I'm asking that you rescind your support of the ordinance for developers to come in and ask for 3 exceptions to their development plans. As a 38-year resident of Studio City. I could just ask you to conclude. Okay, one more sentence. Of Studio City, I want it to be a win-win situation. I want it to be a win for me as a long-time person who has supported the neighborhood, and also be it welcoming to people of any socioeconomic group who would come into our neighborhood and live in our neighborhood. I ask you to rework the state, to lend your support in reworking the state law.
Thank you very much, Ms. Higgins. Chuck Tenon, followed by Zuma Dog, followed by Marilyn Fornatoro.
Morning, council members. Chuck Tenon. I encourage all of the city council members to join Janice Hahn's upcoming music event for the Gang Prevention Task Force entitled Stop the Violence, We Can Live in Peace. We can all live in peace, that everyone in the city, especially kids, can participate in, as music sends a powerful message. Remember, the future of our city and our kids is in all of our hands. We can make a difference if we all stand together. See Janice and Courtney for details. I gave all of you a copy. I don't have enough time. Recommendation on the double parking violation. I hope you all read it because I'm going to ask you. And this morning at Kinko's, I asked a 12-year-old kid if he was going to write an essay on what he thought it would take to be a good city council member. He said to me, "Gee, I don't need to write an essay. I can tell you in one sentence. They should go look for another job." Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tenon. We'll bring that up in Budget Committee today. Thank you for your note on that item. Mr. Zumadog?
This is outrageous to make somebody do 1 minute. You know, each and every one of you sat up for these pony shows and you pressed your button 15 times. One person could have handled it all when you had these. And now you tell these people that sit here all day they have a minute. It's outrageous. Let me tell you what's happened. Okay, I spoke with Janice Hahn. I spent some time with her about response to the Fox 11 story. I wasn't going to talk about it. Her staffer has to come up to me. Oh, well, you know, be nice to Janet. She's good to you. No, Janice Hahn is not good to me. She's never done a thing for me except pleasantries. And so, you know what? I don't think we need staffers to come up and speak on the council members. They're supposed to be running the city. And this person thinks that they have to tell Janice Hahn, if she can't even do that.
Could you direct your comments to us?
Anyway, okay. Tell your staffers not to treat you guys like babies. Now, let me talk about the fact I need to stick up for the Hispanics in the community. I feel that the Latino politicians here in City Council are not representative of the Hispanic community, at least not as I am told. And I believe that the Latino politicians in this state are using the community as props to put them up there and say, here, give us the money for these people. A lot of promises. Well, the promises are not kept. They come back and ask for more money. They're selling out the pueblos. And yeah, everybody else you let talk an extra half minute.
Mr. Zumadog, I have not cut you. I said thank you,
okay.
And if you could conclude,
thank you. I would
please.
just like to say, and I said it a lot better before all this, but I'm here to say to the fine people of Los Angeles, the Latino and the Hispanic community, that I understand that you're very frustrated. A lot of people supported Mayor Antonio. The people in his district supported him. He made all the promises in the world, and then he didn't keep any of them, and so they're not going to vote for him, and they come and tell me the problems.
Thank you. Marilyn Furtado, followed by Deborah Canino. Marilyn? Deborah? Miriam? Deborah?
Thank you, City Council. I represent a waterless...
Could you just say your name, please, for the
Deborah
record?
Canino.
Thank you.
I represent a waterless car wash product that we know is going to be tremendously effective in water conservation. We have a dire water shortage in California, and it's all over the news, on the internet. It's becoming embedded in our conscience. The California governor is working on ways to deal with water conservation. While the governor is working on larger solutions for that, we as a small business in Los Angeles have an idea of our own to support water conservation locally. We have a product that saves millions of gallons of water each year. It's cost-effective, non-toxic, biodegradable, and eco-friendly. We are a Go Green company. But we need our local government support. We would like a letter of endorsement or recommendation for our product, and we support our claims. Our goal is to bring about the use of this product with big business in Los Angeles. Automobile companies, rental car agencies, city agencies, all having fleets of vehicles, from sheriff's cars, transport vehicles, LA City police cars, rapid transit, all choosing for our future to use the process of washing their vehicle without water and eco-friendly.
I could just ask you to conclude, please.
The Sacramento Sheriff's Department, the City of Santa Monica, and Malibu are all implementing this type of program for their city vehicles. In Los Angeles, are we ready to do our part?
Thank you very much. Miriam Fogler, followed by Marilyn White-Siddell, followed by Candido.
You know, only because I support our police and our military, I'm standing up here keeping my composure, because I know you're wrong, and you're all wrong, because God is going to punish you when you get to the, like my mom died a couple months ago. God is going to punish all of you the way you're treating the public. Because if you have any conscience of God in your hearts, you know this is wrong what you're doing. And my father and his brothers all fought in the Second War so that we can have this here. You know, I mean, it makes me sick to stand here and face you people when you're not representing the public when it should be. We should have a right to speak here just as much as you. You had your whole presentation for the whole 3 hours, and we sat here and you got to eat and drink, and we sit down here and wait patiently to speak here, and you people don't give us the courtesy to have our 2 minutes. What is going on here? Is that you think now you're going to take away our First Amendment right to speak here? You cut it down to 1 minute. This is absolutely deplorable.
Thank you, Ms. Fogler. Marilyn White-Siddell, followed by Candido Merez, followed by Barbara Manahan-Burke.
Good afternoon. I got here in the AM, but I'm here in the PM because of all this nonsense. I'd just like to say about 1818, I do not believe that this council has given it enough thought. I think that if they want to continue on the lines they've been, that they need to put each council ahead of what they want to do, not just intermingle all 15 of you. It's very important. The other thing is, I'm glad I came today because I can't wait to get home and write the Daily News about this meeting today. Thank you.
Candida? Yes, Candida, just before. Yes, Mr. Alarcon?
Let me just say that the whole reason for having these meetings in the Valley was to hear from the Valley. So I agree with your sentiment that if the meeting is held in the Valley, we ought to do everything we can to allow the public to speak for the 2 minutes that they would get in Los Angeles. So I promise that I will work with the Valley colleagues to see what we can do to work with the President to ensure that we ensure 2-minute public hearing for the people of the Valley.
And Mr. Alarcon, that is normally our process. What we do today, our concern is that we are going to lose a quorum. We felt it was better to have 1 minute than not have any time period in which people had to leave. And there were a couple items that came before the public comment that people had requested on this council. Yes, Candido.
Thank you, Madam President, council members. Thank you for being back in Van Nuys. It's been over almost 5 months since you've been here before. We were honored 2 years ago to have another great Hispanic American, Guy Galvadon, and I hope Mr. Huizar, that one day that gentleman will get the honors that he deserves. So, again, thank you for being here. I know you're going through budget crunch time. We're having to make a lot of cuts. And we at the Knights of Columbus, Roland Guevara and I have been with the Knights of Columbus for many years. We are losing our senior program, which is $50,000. So, but if that's a savings that we can use elsewhere, then let's do it. I know there's a lot of individuals and yourselves that are going to have to take some cuts. Neighborhood councils should really step up and say we're willing to take a 5% cut. It's absolutely essential. A lot of the programs we do are great, but I believe there is some waste there, and I think it's time for us to do that. I read in the paper on Monday, Mr. LaBonge, he wants to make sure that these beautiful certificates continue. I received and I returned about 20 of them. I'd love to see them go on, but you know what? I'd rather see a program like the Youth Built and YO program and the Phoenix House go. So, Mr. LaBonge, I know those certificates mean a lot to you, but I'd rather see these programs go forward than the waste. And it's not a waste, but I would rather see the money go to good projects. I know your staffs are being cut, but please don't cut them too short because they're the bloodlines to the communities.
Thank you, Candido.
Thank you.
Barbara Monahan Burke, followed by Sharon Brewer, followed by Mort Allen.
Honorable City Council, Barbara Monahan Burke, residing at 4223 Wilkinson Avenue, Studio City. I'm a board member of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, but I'm speaking personally. We ask you to reconsider and rescind the Los Angeles City Implementing Ordinance of SB 1818. It has resulted in a decrease in affordable housing units in the city of Los Angeles, per the facts in the 250-plus page draft housing ordinance, when you look at the facts there. It has caused the irreparable destruction of rent-stabilized garden-style apartment buildings, with communities losing their longtime base of participating renters. We urge you to work with us, neighborhood councils, and other groups and constituents to encourage the California legislature and governor to reshape SB 1818 by amendments, or to prepare a completely new bill to provide effective, affordable housing that, rather than being disproportionate development, fits within the character, scale, and style of our individual communities.
Thank you.
That's my main point. I would like to say just one other thing, as long as we've stayed here, and this is to do with billboards.
Mike, please.
I went, pardon me?
Yes, if you could just conclude in your last statement on the billboards, please.
I just wanted to mention I went for 3 hours to the South Valley Area Planning Commission a week ago to do with the billboards. And I would like you all to reconsider the amendment, the agreement that was made with CBS and Clear Channel. It is they're trying to destroy our community plans, our specific plans. And and this particular one has been held over to the 28th of August.
Thank you very much, Ms. Burke. I appreciate you being here.
And you should all know.
Sharon Brewer, followed by Mort Allen, followed by Sandy Hubbard.
Sharon Brewer, public comment. On my shirt it says, yes, I hear you, and yes, I'm ignoring you. To me, that's what the public is, the impression the public's getting. For us to sit around all this time to only get 1 minute is not acceptable. I appreciate Councilman Alarcon. You guys haven't been here for 2 months. Anyway, you haven't been here, and the thing is, it's disrespecting us, and people take off time. I walked from the orange line with a bad foot because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. But the thing is, it's disrespectful. The special event fee waivers for July 2007 to April 2008, $4,478,955 plus. So with these fee waivers, to continuing, don't look to the public or the city departments to support any cuts to the public until you start doing the cuts, and no more fee waivers. Thank you.
Thank you. And hopefully, Ms. Brewer, you heard our discussion in Budget Committee, in which we will hear the report next week on amending that policy on our special events. Mort Allen.
I apologize. This is my first day since I was in the hospital, and I kind of fallen apart now. Let me tell you that I did a lot of research. I was laid up for almost a month, and I really did a lot of research, and I found you $265 million for the budget this year. And it's been ratified by about 24 cities in the country. And what it is we charge a 15% parking lot tax, we charge a 15% hotel tax, and at least 12 municipalities, and it's been confirmed by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, charges a 15% personal property tax on billboards. Okay? This current year, CBS and Clear Channel will be taking in $1,770 million in revenues based on the digitals and all the enhancements and all that. And that would be $265 million that we have a lot of other cities that are getting. Okay? The next thing I want to tell you is the billboard agreement, and I've gone over it with my attorneys, is bogus. It was approved by the City Council on September 13, 2006. 4 days later, the attorneys changed it from a page and a half to 41 pages and represented to the court that that's what the city attorney approved. Now, I want you to know I have this much documents. I have all the testimonies and everything. And right now, the latest thing that just happened is Vista was sold to Lamar, which is the biggest company, and they have a deal to convert all those little billboards apparently to giant ones. And so you're going to have another thing again.
Thank you. And Mort, if you and I had a chance to talk earlier this morning at an event too, that we'll bring up on the Budget Committee today, the item that you discussed, and on the billboards, would love to see that information.
Okay,
thank you, Mort, and glad to hear you're feeling better.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Sandy Hubbard, and I live in Valley Village. I wanted to come talk to you briefly today to ask you to support a moratorium in the city of any of the SB 1818 projects and building demolitions of projects that have been previously passed. I believe it's important for the city to clear the lawsuits that are pending and make sure that we're on the same track and the right track. I'll echo, of course, the things that people have previously said about supporting the repeal or modification of the state bill, so that the city can have the right to have its communities planned the way that the communities want them to be designed, and that they don't supersede that. While I still have 20 seconds left, I wanted you to know I'm just an average American. I've been here for 5 generations. I married a first-generation immigrant. My son turns 21 tomorrow. And of all the things that you heard as being successful earlier this morning, and I applaud them all, we shouldn't forget the ones that are successful and try to make it on their own. He's at the California Art Institute in Santa Monica, and I wanted to say happy birthday to him.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you, Sandy. Donna Pearman, followed by Yuval Kramer.
Okay.
What's the son's name? What's your son's name?
Sandy.
What's your son's name?
Jack.
Jack. All right. Happy birthday to Jack.
Okay, yeah, okay. The unions are not going to negotiate city unions. Anyway, I'd like to thank Marion Fogler for being the one vote against the CRA on that Wednesday. Anyway, this is why the Valley wants to succeed from Los Angeles, why we want to succeed from the City Council. City Council doesn't care about Van Nuys as much as they do Spring Street. It's very difficult to get City Council members to come to Van Nuys. I guess the ones that come got the short straw. After having 3 months off Fridays, here you would think all 50 8:15 would show up. Our president, who's so diligent in Spring Street, nearly always on time, always has city business, comes to Van Nuys. Now it's jury duty. You broke my heart not coming, Mr. Garcetti, but I'm glad I saw you on tape. I usually like to take the Fridays off. Of course, you want to miss the Dog and Pony Show. You don't need a quorum for a Dog and Pony Show. So city council should do city business first, then entertainment. I'm mad about all these fee hikes proposed. Trash fees, internet fees, higher property tax, higher sales tax, phone tax, for 911 pool tax, recreation tax, meter fee tax, parking fee tax. To top it off, you do cutbacks. And the union is not going to renegotiate. That's all I want to say. This is stupid, and the city deserves everything they got. They're hardworking, and I want to thank the city and city employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Yuval Kramer.
Yeah. Hello. Is this working? Okay. I represent homeowners on the Mid-City West Neighborhood Council. I would like a moratorium on the implementation of the just-passed Density Bonus and Developer Incentives Ordinance until the courts decide the 2 lawsuits that have been filed against the city. In voting for the city's implementing ordinance, as well as allowing SB 1818 projects to be approved in their districts, some council members stated that they don't like SB 1818, but it's the law and the city must comply. I would like the city council to also vote to support a repeal of SB 1818, thus returning power over city planning, zoning, and affordable housing policy to the cities where it belongs. Such a vote would also send a strong signal to our legislators in Sacramento and give them the political courage and political cover to take on the developers and their lobbyists. The recent motion regarding the implementing ordinance does not mention CEQA, due process, and the other pertinent legal issues. The city's ordinance exceeds what is required by SB 1818. SB 1818 allows cities to be more generous to developers, so there's no reason to ask whether the city's ordinance and SB 1818 conflict. With all due respect, the pertinent legal issues are elsewhere, and the motion is a wild goose chase, a distraction, a waste of valuable resources, and political posturing at its worst. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ron Taylor. Is Ron Taylor still here? If not, we'll go downtown to Yvonne Michelle Autry. We'll go to downtown. And Herman Armando. Go back downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I think we should have 2 to 3 minutes at the beginning. The agenda says that non-related testimonies are scheduled at the beginning, and I think that, like some of the other speakers have said, we listen to you most graciously. We'd appreciate 2 to 3 minutes. In Inglewood, we had 3 minutes. I'm here on behalf of other community members who were unable to attend. I always speak to remind you to please to remain aware of the homeless people and also senior citizens, disabled, and veterans who are in danger of losing their housing because of the gentrification. You seem to be in favor of the gentry, and you're selling out those who need affordable, low-income housing units. I'd like to remind you that there's an ordinance before you. We need affordable rent that we can pay, something viable, whether it's low income or affordable. $1,000 is too much. There have been complaints against police brutality, excessive ticketing, killing, and racial profiling here downtown. Someone wanted me to bring that to your attention who's not in attendance today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aubry. Herman Armando? Armando Herman, I'm sorry.
The economic strain has become an outrageous effect of LA's government. Not addressing real issues of city government is obvious. How much is how much? Affordability has become insignificant. Deficiencies in local government, inefficient use of public funds, rather, tax. The truth is that the meltdown is real. We are focusing on the wrong problems. We've heard all the concerns, we've heard all the excuses, and to this point in day, you continue to make the same bogus excuses. Local government, all 15 council members, foreclosures, affordable living, food rationing. These reasons are unacceptable. There is no enforceability for government today to be accountable or trusted. Words as convey, words as value, Mr. Weezer, words as role model, Mr. Rosendale, all of you are bogus. Get your act together. Thank you.
Thank you. Now close our public comment. First item is item number 1, And item number 2, Mr. Zumadog, on item number 1 and 2, you have a minute for each of those. I'm sorry, you're on item number 1. I
Yeah,
apologize.
it's
You're on
the
item
same
number
thing,
1.
1 and 2. I'll combine them here. It's just a warning to all the business owners, because what it is for what they do. I'm seeing a lot of them. I'm seeing a lot of these come to the agenda, so it catches my attention. Cities in a budget crisis, got to take in hundreds of millions of dollars to compensate. So what they're doing now on the agenda is a lot of improvement and maintenance requests and ordinances that they pass. Then when you can't comply, you probably make it into the escrow list, or then you get, there's going to be a lot of penalties, a lot of excuse me, I can't even hear myself. A lot of penalties and fees assessed if you don't follow. Now, these have always been on the agenda, but I'm seeing a whole bunch of new ones. I'm seeing more and more and more. So the benefit of coming to all the meetings for the people in the public. Warning for business owners, citizens alert. They're going to be making a lot of things relative to improvement and maintenances of your districts. And when you don't comply, well, then you're going to have to pay a lot of money. And that's all just because they have to get every dime, y'all. And you know what? We just had 3 hours of dog and pony shows, and I wouldn't want everyone to lose a quorum, so maybe I'll just waive the rest of my time on this item.
Thank you very much. Sean Murphy, on this item? This is on item number 2? You're finished? Okay. We vote on item number 1 and 2. Madam Clerk, please open the roll on items 1 and 2 and close the roll. Tabulate the votes. Thank you. Item 25, Mr. Zumadog.
I'll pass on this one.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, open the roll on item number 25 and close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Alarcon, you had called item 13 special. I'm sorry, Mr. Weisar. I apologize.
President, I'll keep this quick. I know we may lose quorum. Is there someone from the CLA here, please? Thank you. This item here, thank you, Mr. Rosenthal, for bringing it forward, supports a proposed bill that will allow the online filing of 700 forms. My question is, it's not mandatory. Can we make it mandatory as the Ethics Commission has suggested we do for the City of Los Angeles?
It appears that the state is saying that it's not mandatory that local jurisdictions implement this, but it's an option that a local jurisdiction can do.
Have we looked into that and the costs associated with doing this online for ourselves?
The City Ethics Commission came up with some cost estimates. There would be some savings involved in this.
Savings?
Yes.
Savings?
In implementing the electronic filing.
Save paper, Mr. Rosenthal.
Not only in printing paper, but in storing paper.
Can we direct you, as we pass this motion, to come back to us with a report on the implementation of making the 700 forms online possible for all the 6,000 city employees and 300 commissioners that file these?
We would do that jointly with the Ethics Commission.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Please report back to what committee?
Rules and Government.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That item is now.
Certainly, this is our intent to do that, and we even talk about it in Budget and Finance, so this is a no-brainer for us to move forward on.
Great. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. On item number 27, Zumadog, Miriam Fogler, Sharon Brewer, and Donna Pearman.
We get 2 minutes on these agenda items, right?
We get 1 minute.
Oh, we cut it back to 1 minute? Well, then let
As
me...
I've indicated, Mr. Zumadog.
I thought that was for general public comment. I didn't know it was for every item, too.
All the items today have actually been
you
1
know
minute.
what I think? Let me go on the record. I think that stinks, everybody. After all these dog and pony shows and after all the time you made people wait, now we cut it in half. You haven't had the meeting here in 3 minutes. Let it be said for the record, Zumadog thinks this stinks. Now let's talk about the item at hand, special event fee waivers, and it's the biggest scam in the city. We see how these nonprofits are set up for all types of, well, if you saw the Fox 11 news report that was on TV this week, the gang intervention controversy, well, that is also through these nonprofits. So we need to have complete audits before any money is given out. With a $700 million budget deficit, these special event fees are supposed to be for small community events to help pick up some fees. It's being used for things like Academy Awards and Dodgers baseball, and then, you know, you're coming back and cutting services and cutting jobs and all types of cuts. I would cut this, belt tighten. You got to take a stand somewhere. It's on this right here, right now. No more of this garbage.
Thank you. Miriam Fogler, followed by Sharon Brewer.
I got a big problem with you guys, ladies and gentlemen. we got people who are fighting for this country, and you're taking a minute away from my right to speak here, then I don't have 2 minutes. You could do 3 hours here for presentations, and those people should hear what's going on here. Those the men and women, and the men and women are our police.
She is not on the agenda item.
Because you're talking about putting fee waivers, and you're cutting their jobs, the police department, and you want to find ways to cut around so you can have these fee waivers. That's the idea. And you cut my minute off, 2 minutes off. This is a very dangerous thing you're doing, very bad, wrong thing. And law-abiding citizens need to come down here, fill the rooms up here, and see what they're doing here. They're hiding. They're hiding everything. And they think that they can get away with it by getting rid of our subsidies, our property taxes.
Sir, ma'am, this is on the fee waivers.
Yeah. Then you want to replace...
Thank you very much. Ms. Sharon Brewer, followed by Donna Pearman.
Sharon Brewer, item number 27, special event fee waivers, 10 total, 10 with amounts, $35,344. Since I only get a minute, I'm going to deal with item number E, which is from CD1. It's 5-3, a Cinco de Mayo parade, $4,000, sponsors Greater Cypress Park Neighborhood Council. I would like to know why a neighborhood council that, according to Dunn's website, and as of April 1st, has a remaining account balance of $65,995.72, is asking for a $4,000 fee waiver. And the thing is, you can all go and find this information about the neighborhood councils off of the Dunn website, and I suggest you do it. But again, I go and say, look into the neighborhood councils to help with the events. But no way should a neighborhood council with over $65,000 and not filed audit for 1 year
Thank you
be
very
asking
much.
for it.
Madam Clerk, if you could please open the roll on item number 27. And Donna, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Great. Okay, these are terrible, again, fee waivers. I can't wait for the day that it really does, really do a moratorium or fee waivers like I'm hearing around, because these ones are terrible that you've got too much money. You got a certified farmer's market on Friday, May 2nd to May 4th, $16,000. And a motion relatively a concert in the park, special event $4,886, and the one Cinco de Mayo, not against anything on Cinco de Mayo, but that's too much money, $4,000. And the art in the afternoon, a special event, $2,830. In the meantime, you have all of these, as I said, you have all these fee hikes you propose: trash fees, internet fees, higher property tax, higher sales tax, phone tax for 911, swimming pool fees, recreation fees, higher meter fees, parking fees, and you want to do cutbacks in everywhere, and you want to do the meters as high as $1. I think it should, $4. I think it should only be $1. Anyway, I'm against all these fee waivers. Okay.
Thank you.
Vote
Madam
no.
Clerk, if you could please open the roll on item 27, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Item 29, Ms. Fogler.
You can't do a speech on 1 minute.
If you could please address item 29.
You can't do a speech in 1 minute on these fee waivers, especially this one. You want to help the county of Los Angeles. That's why they're saying their books are balanced, because we're subsidizing them now instead of subsidizing the city. You're paying for their fee thing here, and that's not right. We have to be paying for it. And I like to give, I would wish that I could give these few seconds to Sharon Brewer, because she worked dynamically on this fee waiver thing and trying to get you to stop this, and she hurt her foot. I'd like to please come up here and speak.
Sorry,
This is not a fee waiver, actually.
Fee waiver. Thank you very much,
Well, it is
Ms.
something
Fogler.
like that. You're giving fee waiver to the county.
Madam Clerk, if you could please open the roll and close the roll and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Thank you all for, I do encourage for those of you that were here for the first time or are watching us on Channel 35, we do have our Valley office here. Many of the people who are spoken here today do by satellite every day of the week that we have a council meeting. We encourage that public participation. There are times in which we have a limitation. If you have adjourning motions, we do not have a quorum now. You may submit those. This meeting is now adjourned.
Madam President, there are motions for posting and referral.
Those will be posted and referred. If I can make an announcement, the Budget Committee that was supposed to start at 1 o'clock today, it was one of the reasons we had limited time, will be going into executive session probably within the next half hour at downtown, and then we will go into full budget meeting, I believe, is at 2:30. Is that correct, Dion?
I believe so. That's what Mr. Park said yesterday.
And we do encourage you to participate. They are able to participate here from the San Fernando Valley as well in the budget. Do we have announcements? Yes.
Thank you. Tomorrow, Saturday, at Sun Valley Recreation Center at 8133 Vineland Avenue, which is in Sun Valley, right off of San Fernando Road. It's Keep Sun Valley Beautiful. We're going to have hundreds of people there doing cleanups and all kinds of things to clean up the neighborhood. We're going to have a lot of wonderful kids there and a lot of adults working shoulder to shoulder, and we welcome anybody who wants to come. It starts at 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. is the cleanup part, and there's going to be a fair at the park from 11 to 1 o'clock. Again, it's Keep Sun Valley Beautiful. Tomorrow, Saturday, from 8 in the morning till 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reyes.
Yes, MacArthur Park Youth Fishing Derby at 9 o'clock. Come on down. You can do some fishing in MacArthur Park. We'll also have our Greater Cypress Park Cinco de Mayo